Analysis sheds light on the cost to Russia in human lives from Putin's war in Ukraine.
47,000 Russian soldiers have died in the invasion of Ukraine, according to a new statistical analysis. Two independent Russian media outlets, Mediazona and Meduza, worked with a data scientist in Germany and Russian government inheritance records and mortality data to calculate excess mortality. That is, how many more military-aged Russian men have died from February 2022 to May of this year than would be expected. Russia has only acknowledged the deaths of about 6,000 soldiers while censoring local media and cracking down on activists who document Russia's expanding cemeteries. I'm Jennifer King.
Prosecutors in Berlin say a Russian citizen has been charged with attempted homicide and attempted arson for placing an incendiary device in a building where Russian intelligence officers lived. 45-year-old accused of putting the device in an opening to the building's basement in late April 2022. Townhall.com. An energy drink is popular with kids, facing scrutiny from lawmakers and health experts.
Officials say Prime contains potentially dangerous levels of caffeine. It was launched last year by a pair of YouTube stars and has become very popular with a lot of young followers. One lawmaker says it has nearly twice as much caffeine as Red Bull and poses a health risk to children. But a Prime spokesman says the drinks are clearly marked as not recommended for minors. Jason Walker reporting.
The city of Phoenix going to court to prove it has met a deadline for clearing out a large homeless encampment. As part of a civil suit, city officials engaging in a 3-day trial to show that they have complied with a judge's order and have cleaned up the area known as the Zone. Maricopa County Superior Court judge sided with business owners and residents last month, saying the Zone had to go. More on these stories at townhall.com.
What in the wide, wide world of sports is going on here?
I promise you, whatever scum did this, not one man in this force will rest for 1 minute until he's behind bars. Now let's grab a bite to eat. Yeah, come on.
I feel the hot wind on my shoulder and the touch of a world that is older. I hit the switch and check the number. I leave it on and then I slumber. I hear the rhythm ringing through it. Flamenco guitar and cumbia music. I hear the talking of the DJ. The devil listen, what does he say? I'm on a Mexican radio. I'm on a Mexican radio.
Broadcasting live from high atop the J.P. White Building in downtown Roswell, New Mexico. It's Mornings with Mike Winters on 106.5 Roswell's Talk FM.
Is that what I sound like when I talk?
Now, here's your host, Mike Winters.
And good morning, one and all. Welcome to Mornings with Mike Winters. I am he. That would be me, Mike Winters. Happy Monday, everybody.
Yes, indeed.
Welcome back to it. Full in summer mode.
Yeah.
4th of July is passed. People are wrapping up vacations and stuff, and now officially turning their, for the first time maybe this summer, their attentions to back to school.
Yep. It's a weird holding pattern we're stuck in. It feels like back to school season always starts earlier and earlier every year, but they really are gearing up the backpack giveaways, getting geeked up for back to school.
It does take time to collect school supplies and things. Sure. And those events will all be happening here in probably a little less than a month. That's what we got before kids go back to school. So usually that week or so before they go back, and of course they're going back a little earlier because they've added some school days. So yeah, it's a cocktail of everything. Just seems to be right up on top of it all.
Does Kim wake up every morning and just put another scratch on the wall?
Yes, right next to her Rita Hayworth poster. She's digging that tunnel.
And then she does dip squats for 30 minutes.
That's right. I was always wondering why she kept making chess pieces for years. I never understood that. But she doesn't even play chess. That's the weirdest
thing.
Well, happy Monday. Hope all of you had a great weekend. How's yours?
It was good. It's largely uneventful. I kind of hid for most of it. Went to Nissan, had a great event at Nissan on Saturday from 10 to 1. Other than that, just sort of cocooned.
Stay cool. Stay huddled out of the heat and all
Yep.
that. Yeah, mine was pretty low key. We ended up buying a new TV this weekend.
Really?
Something we've been talking about for years.
Well, that's right, because you said you were going to move the living room TV or the bedroom TV into the living room.
Yeah, we did the musical television.
Nice.
And so that happened this weekend. So
Cool.
yeah, now I got a new TV in my bedroom.
Is it all smart?
It is. It's a real great picture. It's an LG OLED.
OLED.
Yeah, it's a 65-inch. It's got a voice activated smart app remote deal.
I'm glad you said app.
Jobber. It's got of course it's got all the apps and downloadable apps built in. So like now my Fire Stick graduates to my bedroom with the older TV that used to be in our, because I still need the Fire Stick for that. But now I got.
It's funny if you had a smart TV from like a certain era of like the late 2010s, early 2020s, your smart TV has like CISO and Quibi on it.
Yeah,
it's like heck, either of those things.
That's what that TV's got those in there, and Voivu or a couple of ones that I don't
Voodoo.
know. Yeah, they don't even around anymore. Anyway, but the new one's got all that stuff.
Nice
too, and to be honest, in my head, I think it's one step easier to access the other stuff. That my wife generally is like, well, here's the remote, you get to it. I don't know how to get to it. You know what I mean?
Right.
And so I think now it's very easy for her if she has a whim and wants to watch Netflix by herself.
You simplified the process.
Well,
or technology has.
the TV, in theory, you hit one button and it's all right there. And it was that way before, except for you had to hit the one button a couple times, depending on what input you wanted.
Right.
And that whole concept was not something she grasped.
Plus, it's newer, so it probably responds a lot faster, whereas your old TV, there's probably some lag. And when there's lag, I don't know if your wife does, I tend to hit the button more than once.
Yeah.
And that screws things up, gives it further in the process.
Sure.
Now it's in Japanese or something.
But there was one time we almost went Japanese on there with language. I was like, what are you doing, Kim? Stop. I was like, give me that back.
You can't be trusted.
But so we got a new TV. It's real nice, and I'm happy. But we bought it Saturday, so I've had a good 24 hours of seat time in front of it now, and it's pretty good TV, and I love it. And I need to watch some movies that are like real, like Marvel or something that's like spacey or something real, HD, something you would benefit.
Do you
in
have that
watching
do you have that like frame rate blur thing where like it makes it look like all weird and cartoony?
I don't know.
Certain new movies, there's like a weird TV thing where like the frame rate was like extra high and it just made things look very weird and inauthentic.
Maybe because it's got stuff like I was watching Miss Maisel on.
I just love that brand new TV. I was watching Miss Maisel.
What's a new show? It just came out.
Yeah, you need something. You need like some Michael Bay, some explosions, you need some Transformers in your life.
But we're on Amazon, and so we got like 2 episodes left of the wonderful Miss Maisel. So we watched one Saturday night, I think it was, and it asked me a question about some kind of thing wanting to be about like the way the filmmaker originally made it or something.
Really?
Well, I hit yes, and the screen got all darker. And then I was like, no, I don't want that. And then we got undarker. But it was asking
like
about
cinematic mode, basically.
Yeah, some nonsense. So I don't know if it's what you're talking about.
Possibly.
I don't know. I'm 50. Those questions don't enter my radar until we're like, what's the screen? I'm like, it's a picture and it's on the TV. Does it look good? Yeah, that's what I like. I don't fly the space shuttle and be like, what's the? I'm like, it's cool. It's a space shuttle, So maybe I got that, whatever you call it. But it did one of those things asking me something about the way the director intended. Your
TV has questionnaires for you.
Like, I don't know, who's the director? What kind of guy is he? I mean, maybe
you don't even know anything about the guy.
Maybe he makes bad decisions. Why do I want to rely on him?
Maybe he's nearsighted. I don't know. Colorblind. Who knows?
So anyway, but it's a cool TV and I like it so far.
Well, congratulations.
I'd be very I'm curious to see it in sports and get NFL time and all that stuff.
Oh yeah, and we're coming up on football season too, so that's when you'll really get to put it through its paces.
And I think we've come to a decision because my wife just likes to keep the TV, so we're going to keep our direct TV, and we did lower the package down a couple months ago because we had a bunch of channels. Like, why are we paying for these? We don't watch them. And
after our intervention earlier last week, you're gonna tell me that you decided together. Happy wife, happy life, right, Mike?
I plead the fifth.
That's right. I understand. We have decided.
We've come to a decision. It was not me that we part.
The tribunal has met based on a purely democratic vote.
Yes. With absolutely no influence to me whatsoever. Yes, but either way, I just want to watch football and be left alone. That's it. So, whatever I need to make that happen is a win for me. All right, let me give you the rundown for today's show. Matt Bristol, been patiently waiting through my TV story to join us here on the radio. Matt from Bristol office joins us once a month, gives us sage legal advice.
He comes down to our level.
That's right. Sage legal and family advice, really, because it all kind of melds together there. In the 8 o'clock hour, about 8:15, we're going to replay interview. We had Don Weld and Kim Ryan with the Alzheimer's Association for Southeast New Mexico join us last week. Give us an update about what they've got going on here in Roswell. Of course, their Walked-In Alzheimer's event will be coming up here in a few months in the fall, but now's the time to start putting your teams together and everything, so we talk a little bit about that. And then in the 9 o'clock hour, about 9:15, John Noble and his wife Crystal will join us, this time Crystal will be wearing her Roswell Seed hat. So they'll join us from Roswell Seed, give us an update on what's going on there and planting, and now we're in the middle of summer, what should you be doing with your yards and all that kind of stuff. So they'll give us an update here about 9:15 or so. Plus, we'll have all of your features that include news of the local variety, your national news, Wall Street Business Update, and whatever else we can come up with for this morning's show. Before we do any of that, though, let's take a gander at your weather. I wish I had better news, but it seems like this week, the longer we go, the hotter it gets. So here's your weather.
I'm meteorologist Steve Hamilton with your Pecos Valley weather. We have some moist air coming in from the south, and that may bring us a few showers or thunderstorms by this afternoon. Some of those storms could be severe with large hail and damaging wind. It will be hot today. Our afternoon high in the low 100s. Wind will be a little bit gusty. For tonight, maybe a shower or thunderstorm till about midnight. Cloudy and mid-70s. Back to sunshine on Tuesday, around 105. That's your latest forecast. I'm meteorologist Steve Hamilton.
Thank you, Steve. Currently, where's my weather? Where'd my weather go? Did I forget to get my weather? I might have. It's a Monday, folks. Things happen on Mondays. So here we go. Here's some weather. 75 here in Roswell. Humidity's at 71%. Winds currently out of the southeast at 7 miles per hour. They're saying there's a chance today. A good one. But I believe it when I see it. They're saying a 50% chance of showers and thunderstorms after 3 today. They say some of these storms could be severe, sunny, then becoming mostly cloudy during the afternoon. It's going to be hot, 103 for the high today, but southeast winds 10 to 20 this morning, shifting to the southwest this afternoon. They say less than 1/10 of an inch of rain, all that, and less than 1/10 of an inch of rain expected unless we get a thunderstorm. So, but they say there's a good chance, so we'll see. Tonight, we're looking at a 20% chance at showers and thunderstorms before midnight, mostly cloudy. Overnight low of 74 degrees, south winds 10 to 15 miles per hour. Tuesday, sunny, hot, 106 for a high tomorrow. South winds 5 to 10. Wednesday, mostly sunny, 108. South winds 5 to 10. Thursday, there is a 20% chance at showers and thunderstorms, mostly sunny and 107. Friday, mostly sunny, 106. And then looking at the weekend, 20% chance of rain Saturday, otherwise mostly sunny and 103. Sunday, mostly sunny, 102. So, yeah, we're over the 100s. But today, at least, then there's a chance of rain. So do your rain dance, cross your fingers, wash your car, do all those things. So see if we can help that along. All right, it is 7:18. We're going to get you into your Roswell Livestock Report recap with Smiley Wooten. Quick break, and then we'll have Matt Bristol join us on the other side. We'll be back in about 3 minutes. Don't go away.
Good morning, this is Smiley Wooten at the Roswell Livestock Auction. A good July run following the week off for the 4th of July, and a nice selection of all classes of cattle, especially high-quality native calves, light yearlings, pairs, and bred cows. We expect to sell 1,350 head. Breaking down like this: 250 weigh cows and bulls, 150 pairs of bred cows, 951,000 calves and yearlings. Today's sale will include 39 Holstein weigh cows and 14 2-year-old Holstein heifers off one dairy. 18 pairs, 30 bred cows, Mr. Ed Eppinar, Cisco, Texas. Ex-quality crossbred cows with calves at side bred to Charolais bulls. 5 to 9 years old, 22 pairs, 9 bred cows, Mr. Wes Magby, Carlsbad, New Mexico. These are Corini cows with calves at side bred to Grouse Charolais bulls. Cows 5 to 9 years old. 50 cows, Angeles Ranch, Pecos, Texas. 80% black Angus Brangus cross cows, pregged open at the ranch. Thin to medium condition, 5 to 9 years old. 62 calves and light yearlings, Casabone Ranch down at Hope, New Mexico. Reputation quality black Angus cross calves, cattle weaned 30 plus days, 2 rounds of shots, 600 to 750 pounds. 64 calves and light yearlings, Rye Ranch, Estancia, New Mexico. Quality black white face Angus crosses, 1 round of shots, 500 to 700 pounds. 26 yearlings, Kincaid Brothers, Pinon, New Mexico. Quality Brangus crosses, 600 to 750 pounds. And 34 yearlings, Mr. Jack Blanford at Deming, New Mexico. Quality black and red Angus crossbreds, cattle weaned 60 plus days, 2 rounds of shots, 800 pounds. Sale time this morning will be at 9 o'clock. Sell pairs of bred cows 10. Be selling calves and yearlings around 11. We expect to sell 1,350 head here today. This is Smiley Wooten, Roswell Livestock Auction.
Country Pride Countywide. The 87th Annual Lee County Fair and PRCA Rodeo is August 4th through August 12th in Lovington, New Mexico. Enjoy the Arts and Crafts Showcase, the Carnival, and the concerts. Wade Bowen for King and Country, Los Rileros del Norte, the Frontmen featuring Tim Rushlow, formerly of Little Texas, Larry Stewart of Restless Heart, and Richie McDonald, formerly of Lone Star, Tracy Lawrence, and Alabama. But wait, there's more. An Extreme Bulls event, Pioneer Iron Chef Contest, livestock shows, and the Junior Livestock Sale, Mutton Bustin' Fiddlers Contest, the Yucca Building exhibits, and some of the best fair food ever. For concert schedules and more info, visit LeeCountyFair.net. Country Pride Countywide, the 87th Annual Lee County Fair and PRCA Rodeo, August 4th through August 12th in Lovington, New Mexico.
Life can be full of risks. One thing you shouldn't take a risk with ever is your family's health insurance. If you're self-employed or you now need affordable health insurance, you need to make this free call right now and see how the Health Insurance Helpline can help you get it. We specialize in helping the self-employed and people just like you that need affordable health insurance to get it. We have short and long-term health insurance plans, and some even cover dental, vision, and prescription drugs. Don't take a risk with your family's health insurance. It's not worth it. If you're self-employed or now need affordable health insurance, call right now and learn for free how to get it. Listen, affordable health insurance plans for everyone just like you are a free phone call away. So give us a shout right now.
800-503-3735. 800-503-3735. 800-503-3735. That's 800-503-3735.
Mulan has the highest kill count of any Disney character. When asked for comment, Buzz Lightyear responded, "To infinity and beyond." Here's Mike Winters.
And good morning. It is 22 minutes after 7 o'clock, and joining us in studio this morning from Bristol Law Office, Matt Bristol back with us. Good morning.
Morning, Mike. How are you doing?
Doing great. How about yourself? How's the weekend, your summer? How's it going so far?
Well, the summer's hot. Darn it. And my weekend was quiet. I didn't have to put a TV together, fortunately.
Good deal.
Or find all the channels and do all the settings. And
yeah, that's the fun part is hooking everything back up. And now it's not even like anymore where you can just put in a username and password and be done with it. They're like, scan this code to go here, to go there, to back here, to beget this, and then we'll turn on your thing for you.
Yeah.
And so, and I was like, this is supposed to be easier. And I'm like, it is if you know what you're doing. If you don't, this is all like learning a new foreign language. So.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, it is. So sometimes that stuff just drives me nuts.
It does.
And it's so intuitive. Well, no, it's not.
Well, just the picture that came with the TV to put the stand together. I'm like, please use your words, because these pictures clearly don't describe what you're trying to tell me to do.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad you got set up.
It is. It's good to go, and it's straight and everything, so it's normal. So.
It can be a major pain, I tell you.
It is. So, just curious. I know you get involved with Scouts a lot. Have you been up to Camp Winhepe or do any camping stuff this summer up that area? Just curious to see how that's going.
I have not been up to Winhepe.
Okay.
The troop that I'm with, they kind of take summer off sometimes, except for summer camping.
Yes.
And so they got a small mini summer camp coming up this weekend. And,
cool.
For not a complete week, but it's 5 days, and I can't get off. But they're going to go up north near Mora.
Okay, cool.
Sipapu Ski Resort, that area.
Good. Well, up in the mountains where it's a little cooler.
Yeah. So they're going to work on some air badges up there. And then there's a young man I'm going to work on citizenship in this community with.
Ah, very good.
Try to get some help the Scouts where we can. And then when school starts, we'll crank back up on regular meetings.
Good deal. So glad to see that and doing all their Scout. I was just curious to see how the camping was and how the kids were loving the camping. And I didn't know, because even... It's scorching hot here and a lot cooler mountains, but still up in Winhepe it is warmer than it normally would be, just because it's warmer everywhere else. Yeah.
Well, that and with the altitude, it's going to be it's closer to the sun.
It is.
It's a little bit more intense. And guys, a couple months ago though, we were working with the Scouts trying to get advancement done before the Court of Honor.
Mm-hmm.
And so the Scoutmaster asked me if I could help some of the young ladies, with their rank, and I said, yeah, sure. What's the subject matter? And she says, well, they needed to learn how to be able to tell direction without a compass. And I'm like, I've been teaching wilderness survival since 1975.
I think you got that one down.
Yeah. So
I feel like that's 101 stuff in wilderness survival.
Like day or night, give me a tough one.
Yeah. Well, we on Friday night, Leadership Roswell Alumni Association had their annual leaders banquet where the public... and we honored some community leaders and
Wayne Glass was one of those.
Let me think. I don't think on that particular one. But anyway, we had actually our local Boy Scout troop that serves over with the American Legion post host over at First Night Methodist Church. They were kind enough to be our flag ceremony and intro and bring in the flag and start things off, and they did an amazing job. So.
Well, it's still one of the few youth groups that actually teaches ethics.
There you go.
Hello.
Absolutely. Yeah. But they led our pledge and brought in the flags and set the tone for the evening there. So they did a great job, and hopefully they enjoyed their food and everything. They had their table back there. They were. I don't think they're so interested in the rest of the. I mean, not their thing, but the food was important.
Well, for any Scout, that's right.
I was a boy their age, and I know exactly where priorities are.
Yep. Yeah, we found out camping that no matter how bad the weather was, if you had good food, you could
the rest
survive.
would be all right. Yeah,
Yep.
you make jokes with the bad weather if you know you got a hot meal waiting for you.
That's right. Yeah.
It makes a big difference when you're camping.
Huge. Yeah.
Because when you're cold and wet and tired and all of that. Sometimes a big bowl of hot food kind of turns the attitude around and say, you know what, this is more fun. Now that my needs are met, I'm enjoying my surroundings instead of cursing them.
Yeah, good food makes a difference, and bad food makes a difference.
Absolutely, yeah, that's the difference between a fun trip and a not so fun trip.
Exactly.
The bear stories are way much better when you had good food that week than when you didn't.
That's right.
But anyway, for folks that aren't familiar, Matt joins us once a month, and as an attorney, he gives sage legal advice. But because of your area of law with family law and things, that legal advice turns into just life advice, really, in a lot of things.
Yeah.
So regardless whether you need a lawyer or not, or whether you're going to lead a lawyer or not, listening to some of the stuff we talk about each month, hopefully will avoid you needing less attorney help and less billing hours and things like that.
Yeah, let's avoid problems rather than fall into problems. Yeah.
You know, the idea is because life happens, problems happen. You want to own a business someday or start a family. There's ways to do it and ways not to do it. And if you do it the right way, then things tend to work out for you.
Life's easier.
And if you don't, then that's where you tend to need more billable hours with an attorney because they've got to unfix or fix things that you kind of messed up.
Yep, for sure.
But that being said, what do we want to cover today, or what particular area we kind of want to focus on this morning?
So this morning on my so last December I kind of set forth to outline the year, just so I wasn't worried on Sunday night of, oh my God, what am I going to talk about?
He's way more organized than I am. That's why he's an attorney and I'm a DJ on a radio.
Just comes with the territory. It's forced upon you.
Yes.
So just some generalized estate planning kind of stuff. And so, for example, say we got some young parents, but they really don't have any assets. And so one of the questions is, but do they really need a will if they don't really, quote, have anything? And what do you think?
I would say yes, just because what you may not realize you have something. Like, you know what I mean? Like, if you got anything of value jointly, when you dies, you need to know what to do with it. I mean, depending on the state you're in, some of that defaults, but I think it would be a good idea to have it. I mean, just even if you have no quote-unquote real assets yet, you're setting the table for the future.
Well, the question was young parents.
Yeah.
So, yes.
Yeah, as soon as you have parents, as soon as you got kids, absolutely.
You got kids, absolutely.
Because that means someone's depending on you. You need to have something in place.
Right. And if both parents are the same car wreck, who's going to raise those kids? So you need a will who says, if we're both gone, who's going to raise the kids? Because you don't want the good-for-nothing drunk brother-in-law fighting for custody of the kids just so he gets their Social Security checks.
Yes. Yeah, because if unfortunately, your kids look like a cash for people that need cash, and they're like, it's people. A lot of people don't even think of that stuff, and that's the way it should be. But the reality is, some people look at like more kids mean more checks each month. So let's bring them in.
Right. So if you have a will and says, Uncle Mike raises my kids, then Uncle Mike probates the will, gets appointed pretty quick. It only takes, less than 4 weeks. And so now Uncle Mike has the legal authority to take the kids to the doctor, enroll them in soccer, take them to school.
Make all the decisions for these children, basically.
Right.
Yeah.
But without that will, now you got people fighting about it, and it's months before anybody has the legal authority to take them to the doctor or the dentist or, just, God forbid, there's not an emergency.
And it's always going to be that scenario where you didn't think of, where both parents die in a car accident or a bus. I mean, we're just putting those together because those are generally, where people are together. And sure, it's so remote and unheard of, but it does happen. And unfortunately, there's so much badness going on at that particular moment, just the emotions and the loss, that it's easy for stuff like this to get messed up if there isn't a plan in place. So that's why this will is so important. That's one less thing, one less thing of confusion in what's going to be ultimately a very chaotic moment in your life.
Yeah, and if the two families, the brother-in-laws and sister-in-laws and grandparents, if they didn't get along very well before, they're certainly not going to get along when they're fighting over the custody of the grandkids.
And guess who's going to hurt at the end of the day? Your children.
Yep.
That's who's going to be most affected by it. Not your parents, not your spouse's parents. Your kids. They're the ones that are going to be mostly impacted.
Yeah, and for those single parents out there, you need to think about that too, because it's the other biological parent's going to get first shot at raising those kids, which sometimes is okay and sometimes not okay.
Depending on, there's a reason you're a single parent.
Yeah.
Things happen.
So let's consider those minor children and providing for them in the event something happens.
Yeah, as soon as you as a family are pregnant, then you need to start plotting and planning your will and getting that executed. So when that child is on this earth with us, then protected in place and ready to go. And God forbid something happens the next day, that there's a plan for that child.
Yep.
And odds are nothing's going to happen. And if it did, the bad karma. But
keep our fingers crossed.
I would rather do something very simple, is sitting down with a guy like Matt for a minute and plotting out a will. And you don't need the most complicated thing ever, just so there's something in place. If I get in a bus crash tomorrow, where does my child go?
Right.
Even if you just start there, and then you can, as life happens, that will be amended and changed over time. It's supposed to be. If you do no advancement after your early 20s or whenever you had your first child, something ain't right. So that's what's supposed to happen.
Yeah, the good thing about the will is you can change it as often as you want.
As you gain more assets and more family, then you adjust accordingly, because you might have another kid someday, and then that's going to change everything, because you're going to have to factor that in now too. So.
Yes, a flexible document. You can change it, amend it, and flip it around and do whatever. And when major events occur, you might want to take a look at that. I've had some folks come in; they've had a will that's 20 years old, and say, "Okay, well, let's just look at it." And said, "Okay, do you still want this? Yeah. You still want to do this? Yeah. Still want to do this? Yeah. Okay, you're good. There's no changes you need to make."
Sure. Yeah. It's just that thing. It's and then kind of, if you've listened to past conversations here, it's just part of that checklist where once a year you sit down and you go through with these things like, is our will still up to date? Is our insurance policy still up to date? Do we have a plan in case this happens? What happens if one of us dies tomorrow? Is everything kind of lined up to someone knows what to do next? This is all part of that process, and just something that every family should sit down and discuss at least once a year, just to kind of know everybody's on the same page.
Yeah, I had a parent come in, and they had lost an adult child. And so their question was, do I need to adjust my estate plan? Or is everything worded, to take care of the fact that we just, lost a child? And so looked at it, and the language in the transfer on death deed was, to my surviving children in equal shares. And I said, okay, well, that's
kind of covers you. Yeah,
that's why we have that language, is to cover this event. So you're good. You don't have to change anything. You're fine. And have you thought about this and that? And they go, oh, yeah. And she already had another adult child on the bank account with them. And I said, oh, well, you're good to go then.
Good deal. Yeah. But because of their, in essence, smart checking in on things, everything's good to go. And unfortunately, it happens all too often that a lot of families don't find out these little caveats or little oopsies. There was a hole in our plan until after things happen.
Things go south, and poof, there's a hole.
After they've lost whoever's lost or whatever, and then they're going in to try to get something done, and they hit a hurdle.
Yeah.
And it's usually, that's when they find out, and a lot of times that's not walk out. You can't fix that one. Sometimes you can, but not always. If someone's gone and you need a signature, and that's what you needed to get, then it's really hard to get that. And and if you don't have a good who's in charge of the estate kind of thing, then that creates real problems there.
Yeah. So, Mike, what's the difference between a power of attorney and an executor?
A power of attorney, don't they get to make personal decisions and stuff? For an executor is basically just executing what the will says to do, whereas a power of attorney has the power to make medical and other legal decisions. Am I close here, or I'm thinking it's something like that?
Yeah, you're close. Yes, you're correct.
Yeah.
So the more of the other distinction is an executor doesn't take over till somebody passes away.
Whereas a power of attorney
is when they're alive.
Yes, but if they hit that point where they're unconscious but they're still alive, their decisions are valid. Whereas an executor is like, no, they have to be officially dead before, and reading the will and just executing what the will says. They don't get to.
Yeah, their job is to follow the dictates of the will.
Yeah.
To do the instructions of the will.
They don't get to change decisions on that will, or
that's right.
Or say, well, it's a little clear here, I'm going to decide you get it. No, they don't get to do that.
That's right. Yeah,
a lawyer has to get involved, and then we fight if there's muddiness in the will.
So there's further explanation. So the power of attorney only works when someone's alive, but when they pass, the power of attorney passes with them.
Okay, so so if that person dies, they don't get to make any more decisions, or probably even access accounts and things, I'm thinking either too, right?
Right, because the language of the power of attorney basically says, anything I can do, I give Mike the power to do for me.
Mm-hmm.
So once you're dead, you can't do anything.
Right.
And so the power of attorney...
they lose that. So
yeah.
So please know that distinction too, especially if you have a loved one that's in terminal mode and you have a power of attorney, but you're not an executor or not related to that person, then you need to get that lined up, because all of a sudden the powers you have right now all go away once that loved one passes, if you're not the executor or not connected to the executor.
Right. We've had people, the day after mom passes, they use mom's power of attorney to go get money from mom's bank account. And that's a big no-no.
Yeah.
Don't be doing that stuff. You get in trouble.
It's no good no more. It's really, even no 99.9% there's nothing nefarious there, but that's how the law works. It's to protect from the nefarious stuff, because unfortunately there's a lot of shady people out there, and they're going to go and say, oh, grandma's dead, this is my chance to clean the bank account. You know what I mean? And we'd like to think no one in our family would ever do something like that until somebody in our family does something like that.
Yeah, there you go. Another mistake that we see, or a mistaken impression. So if Mike gives his power of attorney to Sean, does that mean Sean's in charge of Mike's stuff?
No, I think as long as I'm capable, it's when I lose capacity to make the decision that it diverts to Sean, right?
Well, two things. So a power of attorney can take effect immediately or take effect only when you're not competent.
Okay.
So it can take effect either time.
Depends on the wording of the power of attorney and how it's created. Basically.
Correct. But even if it says the power of attorney is effective immediately, that doesn't mean Sean's in charge of your life. And you're still in charge of your life. So we see people saying, well, I've got grandma's power of attorney, I'm in charge.
Mm-hmm.
No, you're not.
Still need permission. But basically you're authorized to sign or do anything for her or him in the event they're not available to be there to do it.
On grandma's behalf, with grandma's best interest in mind, not your selfish little interest in mind.
Exactly. But say grandma can't get down to the bank to sign some checks, you can go down and sign those checks for her. That is well within your power of attorney.
Right.
But if grandma calls and says, don't let them sign those checks, at the end of the day, grandma still will say, no, don't. That they'll abide by that wish, basically.
Yeah, and your job is not to go down and loot grandma's bank account because you're not going to, quote, take care of grandma.
Now, if grandma's calling and telling you not to do that, maybe you should make a better decision on who's your power of attorney. But that's another conversation for another day.
Well, there you go. What about that? Can you take back a power of attorney?
I would say yes. If as long as you can prove everybody's sound mind and everything, And
the answer is you're correct.
Yeah.
You can revoke. It's called revoke a power of attorney.
Yeah.
Yes, you can.
I would think so. Because, humans have human issues, and sometimes people fall out, and it's like time for me to, it's unfortunate, but that's life. That's what happens.
Yep. So let's say we download a form on the internet for a will, and it's got blanks and stuff. So can you just fill in the blanks on the will and will that work?
I would say no, because whenever you make a will, there's got to be witnesses and usually some kind of notary or something like that, and just printing it out and filling it out doesn't really meet those obligations. In theory, anybody can do that, and now they could fill out a will on you and do it. So I would say no.
Correct. A will's got to have witnesses.
Yeah.
A notary's not required, but the witnesses are required.
Gotcha.
But in New Mexico, it's required to be a typed instrument.
So no handwritten
so you can't
wills.
Handwrite fill in the blanks. You can't handwrite the will.
Got to type them out
way.
too. Okay.
Yeah, it's got to be typed.
So I guess in theory, the only thing that's handwritten is the signatures on the document-based.
Signature of the person making the will and the witnesses. But you can't just handwrite fill in the blanks because New Mexico does not recognize handwritten wills.
And if I remember right, because I've had to sign wills and things over the years, you got to use a certain color ink pen and the whole 9 yards. It's the whole...
Well, some states, and used to is everything had to be in black.
Yeah.
And, we're not so much into that nowadays.
The last time I had to sign one for someone else, I had to do it in a certain ink pen and all that.
That may be a state requirement.
Yeah.
We like to use blue a lot of times, or our notary stamps have red ink, and that way you can always tell which one's the original.
Gotcha. Okay, that makes sense.
So we like to do that.
She got one of these. I got one around here. Those little 4-way pens with the red, green, black.
Is that right?
Like, you just use that one, and you got a color for every time. But
so if Mike wanted to make a power of attorney to Sean, do you have to have Kim's permission to do that?
I would think yes, but the answer is probably no.
The answer is no.
Interesting. Although it might be a good idea. Just saying. Your spouse, you might want to let him in on the loop there, unless there's some weird circumstance going on. But,
unless there's, something weird.
Yeah, if you're separated or something.
But you're an adult, and you can give your power of attorney to anybody you want to, and you don't have to ask your spouse's permission to do it.
And that power of attorney can sign for you in joint things?
Depending on the language, yeah. So
Okay.
if it's what's called a general durable power of attorney, then yes.
Okay. I was just that's the part I was a little, because like my wife and I, you look at our mortgage and both our names are on it. You know, you look at our cars, both our names are on it. You know, I didn't know how that worked with responsibility there, or something that, in essence, if we default on it, they're going to go after her too. You know, how does that work? You know?
Well, and there may be special circumstances.
Yeah.
Maybe your spouse isn't the best money manager and you want somebody else to take care of that stuff. You know, it could be something like that, or maybe your spouse has had a stroke.
Okay.
And is really not good at handling things anymore. You might want to give that power of attorney to somebody else.
Gotcha. Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was just wondering if you know, it's probably a good idea to have the spouse in the loop there, even though technically you don't. But if you're a couple that does work well together, then you're probably going to talk to each other about those things.
Yes.
Of course, but then again, as in the law in this world, we always think in the scenarios in the worst case scenario, because that's really what you're planning for. When it comes at the end of the day, when you're planning all these documents and everything else, you're planning for the worst case scenario that something can happen to you.
Absolutely.
And providing some kind of a safety net or something for your family or things in the event the worst happens here. And if you think in those terms, that's what these documents are for, then it makes a little more sense on why they're written and why the rules are laid out the way they're laid out.
Well, that's a very good point. You know, as long as things aren't going wrong, you don't need any of this stuff. This is when things go sideways.
Yeah, and that's all that this is there for. So, yeah, that's why it gets a little ominous when you're thinking, let's plan your will, because you're thinking about, you know, something bad. But, you know, you always hear the saying, there's two things that are certain in life, death and taxes. And
you got to plan for both.
And you got to plan for both. So this is what we're talking about.
Yeah.
So,
okay. So another question.
Yes.
Who are Mike's heirs?
Mike's heirs. So in theory, hold on, because there's a trick in here. The heirs are the people who, in theory, would get things I leave them, right? They're the heirs to things I would leave them. So who is that person?
Well, if you leave something in a will, you leave bequests to a beneficiary.
Okay.
There would be a devisee, because you've devised purposely for those people to receive something. So the statutory definition of an heir is those people who would receive your estate if you die without a will.
Okay. All right.
That's the definition of an heir.
Okay. Like they're entitled to it regardless of what the piece of paper says.
No, it's just if you die without a will, who gets your stuff?
Gotcha. Okay.
And so, but the trick question is, living people have no heirs.
Okay. Because in theory, they're not entitled to anything.
Well, they're not an heir.
They're
not an heir until you die.
Right. It makes sense. So it's the heir is whoever's in the paper that you bequeath to. Okay.
So
I knew there was something in there, and I'm like,
yeah, that's the trick question in law school.
Yeah.
Who are your heirs? No, you don't have any. You're still alive. So what's a living will?
A living will, I've always interpreted it as a will that's kind of, it has some of the rules as a power of attorney, but it lets you do things for this person that normally you wouldn't be able to do unless they were dead. Am I close?
Well, that's a good question because people come in all the time and they ask about living wills, and I tell them I have no idea what that is.
It's like that's like saying
that's a civilian word. That's not an attorney
Central
term.
Intelligence or what? Those oxymorons.
Well, it's not a legal term. It's just not a legal term.
Gotcha.
It's just not. If you look in the statutes, it's nowhere in there. So I have no idea what a living will is.
Okay.
And most people don't either.
But it apparently is popular enough for a lot of people to hear it and say it and say, oh.
Yeah. So the people hear it all the time, and I'm not sure will. So
something like that sounds kind of like a power of attorney in some cases, but you're not bequeathing property per se while they're alive, unless it's something in that area. I don't know.
No, I have no idea. So there's a statutory form for medical power of attorney. And we'll come back to that in a second. There's a statutory form for financial power of attorney. So the medical power of attorney, if you talk to the medical community, they call it a 5 wishes document.
Okay.
So that's not the legal term. The legal statutory term is advance healthcare directive.
Okay.
So you're giving healthcare directives in advance. And that includes end-of-life decisions, like pull the plug kind of stuff.
Who gets to pull the plug? How long do you pull the plug?
Right.
And I got you.
Yeah, so that's so the medical community calls that a 5 wishes document. So if you go in the hospital, they'll ask you, do you have a 5 wishes document? Something like that.
Is organ donor part of that too, or is that just driver's license stuff?
That is part of the paperwork for the advanced healthcare directive, the medical power of attorney, the 5 wishes document. It does have that.
Okay. I didn't know if that was a decision you get to make at the end or not there, because I know only other time is when I go to the MVD and I said yes there, so I'm assuming but I don't know if they whip out your driver's license when you're sitting there dead going, oh, he's got the organ donor, start cutting in, boys. I didn't know how that works.
Well, your wallet's probably not in the hospital.
Yeah, I would think not. No, but really, off of unless they pull up a database or something. But really, that my driver's license says organ donor on it. So
yeah, they would probably ask your next of kin. Maybe.
Yeah, I'm certain. But I was just wondering if that was involved in some of that stuff.
Yes, so yes, you can say yes or no to the organ donation. You can say yes, pull the plug. No, don't pull the plug. Or let my power of attorney decide, which is kind of a burden to put on your children. You need to make that decision for them.
It is kind of unfair of you to do that, but
And pull the plug decision should be made by all the children, not just one child. In my view,
that's setting up for arguments and a lot of animosity down the road.
Oh forever after that'll be the day Mike killed Dad.
Yeah, that's going to be something you talk about with a therapist for a long time.
Yeah,
you should avoid that one.
Yeah. So something all the kids should have a decision on.
Absolutely, and that's really, and this is, if you think in those terms, getting back to the generalities again, is we know end of life for a loved one is a rough time for the family. There's a lot of emotion. There's a lot of time of extreme behavior, extreme happiness, extreme sadness, extreme. It's just that time when all that goes down.
Oh yeah,
and the last thing you want to do is have to worry about where important decisions done and ready and in place, because that's not the time to decide those. Sometimes you're emotionally charged. Families that they're, and if it's not set, the recipe is there for disaster. It's just emotionally charged family members that know each other better than anybody else because they're family members, and they love hard but they fight hard. And that recipe of everyone's upset because the matriarch of the family's no longer with you.
Yep.
And it's a cocktail for disaster if something is in place. So that's why This ain't a rich people thing or a poor people thing. This is everybody.
Everybody.
If you've got any kind of assets, children, dependents, any of this stuff, you should be talking about this stuff. Doesn't matter if you got 6 cars or 1 car or no car, or a 50-bedroom house or a half a bedroom house or no bedroom house. Whatever it is, it's what happens if you get sick tomorrow and you drop dead. Where do your kids go? What happens to your assets? What happens to everything that you had to do as a human being that now doesn't get done because you're not here anymore? That's where the will is, and that's why it's important.
It's important when you have those little kids to name that testamentary guardian. It's important in second marriages. How much you're going to leave to the second spouse, how much you're going to leave to the kids. It is a huge, huge question.
Yeah, especially when you got kids with other marriages and things, you better have that lined up, because if it's not lined up, you are setting the table for a Tyler Perry TV series. That's or Dallas, or one of the inserts nighttime soap opera here, because that's what you're setting the table for, right?
It is. And one of the other sides to that story is I've had my share of second wives come in.
Yeah.
And now the husband's ill and he requires a lot of care. And the husband has left everything to the children of the first marriage.
Yeah.
And the second wife says, well, why should I take care of him and his illness if he's left me nothing in his will?
Yeah, it's like, well, let them do it.
Exactly. That's what they say, is let the kids take care of it.
Yeah. And unfortunately, that's where it gets. And then you start watching TV shows like Succession, and that's how you see that happen and all that.
Yeah. So it's, you need to think about these things, address these things before they go wrong.
Absolutely. Have the conversation. That's where I would say, you can set up a consult for free with Matt.
Well, it's not for free. We do charge for our time.
Yes, but you can sit down, talk, and he can tell you it's a simple thing. We put the document together. We can have it done in a couple hours. Or, you know what? You can, but you've got to have some conversations first. You need to talk with someone and put this out and come with a plan, and then we can come here and put it to paper. But you need to talk to some people first before you make these decisions to make sure they're kosher with it as well.
Right.
But either way, having that conversation with Matt first before you just go online and print off a cookie cutter will and
handwrite and fill in the blanks and get it all wrong.
Yeah, because and know this, that videos on your phone, that stuff doesn't hold up in court.
Nope.
None of that. That's all a waste of your time. Even though, yes, you got a video of grandma saying she's leaving you the house and all this other stuff, but here's the theory. What was grandma's mental condition at the time of that video? You have no way to prove that she was of sound mind and everything else. When there's lawyers and witnesses and everybody seeing you write and sign that, that's when they're determining your mental capacity. Clearly, that's when they're doing that.
That's what
the time that document was signed and by a bunch of people, you were of sound mind. You were of, and so there's your proof. That video, we don't know. There could be someone off camera with a gun to their head going, you're going to say, give me everything or all this. And so that's why that's not, and we know 9 times out of 10 it probably is legit. But because people are awful, we have to make
we have rules,
protections for these things, and that's part of it. So even if you try to do legal Zoom yourself a lawyer online, be careful, because depending on what state you're in and all that stuff, some of that stuff, even if you went to what you thought was a legal website, doesn't necessarily protect you if something happens here. So that's why you need to talk to a real lawyer in the state of which you're doing, because what they do in New Mexico is different than what they do in Texas.
Oh, yeah.
In Arizona, and vice versa. So what may hold up in Texas may not hold up in New Mexico.
That's right. Texas does recognize handwritten wills.
Yeah.
But New Mexico will not. So every state's distinct.
So that's why you need to talk to hear someone local, guy like Matt. So if you go to BristolLawOffice.com.
.net, BristolLawOffice.net.
That's right. I keep moved it over.
No, that's all right. 65-5284.
If you go to .com and nothing happens, go to the .net. You want to do a quick fact or fiction here?
Factoid, yes. Yeah, fact or fiction. So in ancient Greek mythology, when people were first made, they were both male and female. the hermaphrodites, I guess you'd say.
Okay.
But in mythology, that's how people were.
Okay.
And then
they don't need no man or woman; they can do everything themselves. They're gods.
So something happened along the way, and they pissed the gods off.
Okay.
And so that's when the gods split the humans into male and female.
Okay.
So at one point in time, you were a single entity, and now you've been split in two.
Okay.
And that's why we spend our lives looking for our soulmates.
Oh, okay.
Our other half.
Nice. That makes sense.
And that's where all that comes from, is from that mythology.
I think I found mine. Hope so.
I hope everybody else finds theirs.
That's the whole goal in life, too. So I think I've nailed it based on our 20-plus years together, and we're still together. I think I found the other half.
That's awesome.
How I found her in New Mexico, I have no idea, but we did.
And I found mine, and I'm thankful every day.
There you go. BristolLawOffice.org? No, net.
I'll make you work for it.
.net. I keep wanting to say com. .net. BristolOffice.net. And then go there and set up an appointment, or if you have any questions, and then Matt can sit down with you and really help you determine what's your next step when it goes to your legal planning or family planning or any of those kinds.
Absolutely. Please let us help you out before.
Absolutely. Yeah. Don't try to do all this alone. If you don't know, talk to someone, and that's the key. Not knowing things, that's life. You're not going to know things. The way to succeed in life is, how do you find answers? Where do you turn? Mm-hmm. Are you humble enough to ask if you don't know? If you don't, it's okay to not know. It's what you do about your lack of knowledge. That's where it comes in.
And just don't depend on Google. Okay?
Exactly. Yeah. That's the thing is talk to the experts. I heard this, that you get you in way, especially in any of the legal world. So.
Yep.
Good deal.
Well, thank you, Mike. Enjoyed it.
As always, enjoyed it. We'll see you next time, okay?
See you next month.
All right, 7:59. Let's take a quick break before we get into news. Don't go away.
Your destination for health is closer than you think. You don't have to drive hours for personalized care. You can get high-quality health care right here, close to home, at Artesia General Hospital. From hip, knee, and shoulder replacements to sports injuries, general surgery, pain management, and wound care, our providers will help you get back to doing the things you love right here in Southeast New Mexico. Artesia General Hospital is here for you when you need us. To learn more about some of our key service lines, visit artesiageneral.com/closer.
Townhall.com. I'm Rich Thomason. En route to the NATO summit in Lithuania, President Biden has stopped in England, meeting with King Charles, British Prime Minister Sunak. The NATO gathering opens tomorrow.
The focus at the summit is expected to be on support for Ukraine, how to keep it close to NATO without being a member, as well as security guarantees after the war. At the meeting, the leaders are set to endorse new defense plans in case Russia decides to broaden its war efforts beyond Ukraine into allied territory. Other topics on the agenda will be on how to boost budgets and Sweden's membership as Turkey delays the country's entry into NATO. I'm Karen Chamas.
Roads and bridges have been washed away. Homes are damaged. At least one death reported following catastrophic flooding. In the suburbs north of New York City, there have been numerous high water rescues. And now parts of New England are getting a soaking. And there are reports of scattered serious flooding there. Across the south and the west, it's excessive heat that's the issue.
As many as 45 million people that just for today and for tomorrow are going to be looking at impacts from extreme heat. So that number is likely to increase as we go through the middle to latter part of the week.
National Weather Service meteorologist Andrew Orison says heat warnings and watches are up across a vast area stretching from Florida to Texas and north to the Pacific Northwest. Ice cream maker Ben & Jerry's call for what it terms stolen indigenous land to be returned to Native Americans may have backfired, because now one of the chiefs of a Vermont tribe says he'd be interested in getting back the land where Ben & Jerry's headquarters is located. Watching Wall Street, stocks are mixed right now. The Dow is up 198 points, while the Nasdaq trading 34 points in the red. More on these stories at townhall.com.
Here's an important message from the Diabetes Solution Center. Do you like pricking your fingers to test your blood sugar levels? No one does, but it's important to maintain your health. And now, by wearing a small remote device called a continuous glucose monitor, or CGM, you don't need to prick your fingers anymore. It's easy to use and helps you make more accurate diabetes treatment decisions. If you are testing your blood sugar 3 or more times daily, injecting insulin, or using an insulin pump, call the Diabetes Solution Center right now. And if you have Medicare or most major insurance coverage, you may be able to get a new CGM at little to no out-of-pocket cost. Shipping is free, and we'll even bill your insurance company for you. If you are testing your blood sugar 3 or more times daily, injecting insulin, or using an insulin pump, call the Diabetes Solution Center right now to learn how to end the painful finger sticks and get your own continuous glucose monitor, or CGM, at little to no out-of-pocket cost.
On the eve of the NATO summit, the Swedish and Turkish leaders are holding face-to-face talks as Turkey continues blocking Sweden from joining the transatlantic alliance.
The Swedish Prime Minister Ulf Kristersson will make a last-ditch attempt to convince President Erdogan of Turkey to drop his opposition to Sweden's accession. Ankara has been demanding that Stockholm toughens legislation to deal with suspected Kurdish militants living there. Mr. Kristersson says Sweden has amended relevant laws and lifted an arms embargo on Turkey. On Sunday, President Biden spoke with Mr. Erdogan over the phone and reiterated his support for Swedish membership.
The BBC's Caroline Tamazoki. A man with a knife has killed 6 people at a kindergarten in southeastern China, that according to local authorities. 25-year-old suspect is under arrest. A witness says the attacker's child had been struck earlier by the car of one of the people who was killed. News and analysis, townhall.com. A grim mission is getting underway in central Nebraska. Crews ready to excavate a field, searching for the bodies of more than 80 youngsters buried at the site of a Native American boarding school.
Crews will use shovels, trowels, and smaller tools in an attempt to find the remains of children who once attended the Genoa Indian Industrial School west of Omaha. The school opened in 1884 and at its height was home to nearly 600 students before closing in 1931. Residents of the tiny community of Genoa have been looking for the cemetery for decades with help from researchers and state officials. Rhonda Rockster reporting.
Nearly 50,000 Russian soldiers have died in the war in Ukraine, according to a new statistical analysis. Moscow has tried to hide the human toll of Vladimir Putin's invasion of Ukraine, censoring local media, as well as cracking down on activists who have been documenting the Russian casualties. More on these stories, townhall.com.
What in the wide, wide world of sports is going on here?
I promise you, whatever scum did this, not one man in this force will rest for 1 minute until he's behind bars. Now let's grab a bite to eat. Yeah, come on.
I feel the hot wind on my shoulder and the touch of a world that is older. I hit the switch and check the number. I leave it on and then I slumber. I hear the rhythm ringing through it. Flamenco guitar and cumbia music. I hear the talking of the DJ. The travel listen, what does he say? I'm on a Mexican radio. I'm on a Mexican radio.
Broadcasting live from high atop the J.P. White Building in downtown Roswell, New Mexico. It's Mornings with Mike Winters on 106.5 Roswell's Talk FM.
Is that what I sound like when I talk?
Now, here's your host, Mike Winters.
And good morning. It is 6 minutes after 8 o'clock. Welcome to hour number 2. The Deuce of Mornings with Mike Winters, right here on 106.5 Roswell's Talk FM. Happy Monday. I know it's not fun to say, but happy Monday.
Sorry, this Monday feels a little less Monday than most.
Well, it's summer. Kids are quietly eating their cereal, watching their morning cartoons as we speak.
Is that a thing still?
I don't know.
Morning cartoons? I mean, I know the concept of the Saturday morning cartoon thing is sort of gone
there's
to the
cartoons
wayside.
24/7.
Right.
So you eat cereal in the morning, so I figure we'd hop on the cartoon.
Yeah, you could watch cartoons whenever, but it always felt more like appointment viewing, when we were kids.
Well, yeah.
Like you got through your week of school.
Television was
waking up-
appointment viewing when we were kids. Everything.
Right.
Magna PI comes on at 8 o'clock Friday night or whatever night it was. You know what I mean? That's just, we don't live in that world anymore.
And what was great about Saturday morning when I was growing up was there was a very clear line of demarcation from when you knew Saturday morning cartoons were done. It would always be the Bugs Bunny and Tweety show, and then American Gladiators.
Yeah, one of
And
those.
as soon as American Gladiators came out, I'm like, I'm going to watch 15 minutes of this, and then I'm going to go out and play.
Yep. Or earlier, before Gladiators, it was wrestling. For me as a kid,
Saturday morning,
it was WWE wrestling. Before the Wildlife Federation got mad and sued them. But
Speaking of American Gladiators, there's a documentary that just got dropped on Netflix.
I watched some of it.
Yeah?
Yeah, I watched part of the first episode.
It looks really interesting. Is it a series?
Yes.
Awesome.
Yes.
Awesome. I'm gonna
There's
have to
more
check
than
that
one
out.
episode. I watched part of the first one, then I got sidetracked. But
Because I was obsessed with that show growing up. I'm like the big set, the excitement of it all.
And it was kind of neat to watch like the pilot and how they're creating the games and the concepts and everything, because they really didn't know. They were kind of just like the games and stuff. They were just thinking stuff up and literally what's stuck in the wall and see what happens. And some of them weren't so good. Like there's a couple ones, like they were showing some of the early ones with something with like the gladiators on a trampoline and the person has to get like foam pieces off the trampoline, but apparently the gladiator can jump up and grab a bar that shoots you back or shoots you. And so what was happening was the gladiator would hit that bar and this one lady get shot back and then they bring him back and she'll go crashing into the dang trampoline.
Oh, wow.
And by the time she's done, that lady was beat up because she kept getting slammed into a trampoline 20 times.
There's a scene in the trailer where basically it was the assault game where they could shoot the tennis balls at you.
Yeah.
I guess some dude was just like, it just took off and he caught a tennis ball right to the side of the head. It like broke his orbital bone.
Whoa.
Yeah. There was some serious injuries that came from that show.
Yeah. Well, yeah, and safety and things were kind of, and especially in the beginning, were kind of out the window.
Right.
Like they were literally just, I mean, they had helmets and stuff, but it was literally, they were creating this stuff.
Yeah.
There wasn't a store you can go and buy, American Gladiator pugilist stuff. And they had to make all this stuff. So those early ones, it was basically catcher's masks and things that they would tape up and paint up to.
Yeah, by season 2, they started looking like pieces of the set. But at first, it was like, you guys are fighting with giant Q-tips.
But it basically, this first season was like us as kids just grabbing all of our collective, sporting gear or army gear and going out and playing something, know? And so you're out there playing, hockey and you got a baseball helmet on with a catcher's mask and that was us, and that was them, American Gladiators, basically. And and they fired the first group. Like Gemini was one of the OGs and Lace was one of the OGs.
Right.
The rest were
Laser. That's the thing is they were very interchangeable because nobody knew who you were.
Well, and half of them all had as their name. Laser, Taser, Blazer. They were all
The dude over there munched on grass in the field, that's Grazer. It's fine. It's fine.
Phaser and Hazer and all these.
And of course it seems obvious now, but boy, the steroid use on that show. I mean,
well, look at them. They're
I
all
know, but
jacked
again,
up.
I watched it when I was a little boy. I didn't realize like these are real strong men.
They all look like they're WWE fighters, or WWF at the time. That was kind of, that was that's what they, and even the women were very.
Yeah.
Like, they would just crush you. Like, I would break you. It was very, except for one. There was, like, one girl that still...
Lace was pretty,
Lace was not...
feminine.
she was still...
Oh, yeah. She
fit.
I'm not going to
But she
go
didn't
against
look
her.
like Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Right.
She wasn't jacked up and everything,
This is going to come off as sounding
My
like...
arms don't go all the way down.
This is going to come off as sounding sexist or misogynistic, but chick muscles don't look good. Like, I don't like it. It's off-putting.
It's just that, I know we're going to get into stereotypes and all this, but, I think most men want to have a feminist look to their women.
Right.
And that ain't feminine. It's not a feminine look. When they're more jacked than you are, it's like it's a little intimidating. I'm sorry.
When they look like, what's that? Was it Darla from Napoleon Dynamite?
Yeah.
Rex Kwon Do's chick.
Oh, yeah. Which, it's great, but, it's not what people are attracted to. And that's just, it is what it is.
It is what it is.
But anyway.
By the way, that'll make you feel real old. I watched a thing on YouTube the other day. Napoleon Dynamite is 20 years old as of next year.
The movie?
The movie.
Wow.
I know. How's that for some perspective?
Huh. Does it still hold up?
Kind of, yeah.
I think it does. I've seen it, but I haven't seen it recently.
Yeah, the way it was shot, it was all very low budget, and the style too was shot in the early 2000s, but it kind of has that late 80s, early 90s aesthetic, which is totally hot right now. So
it's in.
It's very in. Yeah,
80s is in.
No, 90s is way in. The stuff that when I was coming up, it was all about the 80s, like Wedding Singer and all that. That stuff was real hot. Basically, that generation shifted. Now they're reminiscent or they're nostalgic for their childhood in the 90s.
Clueless.
Exactly.
Clueless generation. All the the gag me with a fork.
Surprised Talk to the Hand hasn't made a comeback.
I'm waiting for all that in a bag of chips. All right, I probably need to get this interview going. We're going to play our interview we had with Don Weld and Kim Ryan from the Alzheimer's Association for Southeast New Mexico. Give us an update on of course, the Walk to End Alzheimer's. That event's in the fall, usually around November time.
Calendars.
However, now's the time to start putting your teams together, start raising money and awareness and all that good stuff. They're going to be back on the courthouse lawn this year. So,
nice.
But anyway, we're going to play that interview here in just a bit. Learn, and by the way, if you are a family in the need of resources for Alzheimer's, maybe you have a family member newly diagnosed and you're looking for resources, things like that. They are that. So we'll play that interview for you here in just a bit. Before we do anything else, though, let's get you up to date on the weather.
I'm meteorologist Steve Hamilton with your Pecos Valley weather. We have some moist air coming in from the south, and that may bring us a few showers or thunderstorms by this afternoon. Some of those storms could be severe with large hail and damaging wind. It will be hot today. Our afternoon high in the low 100s. Wind will be a little bit gusty. For tonight, maybe a shower or thunderstorm till about midnight. Cloudy and mid-70s. Back to sunshine on Tuesday, around 105. That's your latest forecast. I'm meteorologist Steve Hamilton.
Hey, Steve. Currently 76 degrees here in Roswell. Humidity's at 69%. Winds calm at the moment. As Steve mentioned here, we do have a chance at rain today. There is a 50% chance. That's pretty good. Of rain. They say mainly for after 3 o'clock. They do say some of these showers and thunderstorms could be severe. But sunny, then gradually getting cloudy as the afternoon progresses. 103 the expected high today with winds out of the south, 10 to 20. They say new rainfall less than a tenth unless we actually get a thunderstorm. So it may not be nothing, but if we do get something, it could be severe. Be careful. That's kind of what they're saying. Tonight, our chance of rain's at 20%, mostly cloudy, overnight low of 74, south winds 10 to 15 miles per hour. Tuesday, sunny, high of 106, south winds 5 to 10. Wednesday, mostly sunny and 108, south winds 5 to 10 miles per hour. Wednesday night, there's a 20% chance of rain. Thursday, a 20% chance of showers, mostly sunny and 107. 20% chance of rain Thursday night as well. Friday, mostly sunny and 106. 20% chance of rain for Friday night. Saturday, we're looking at a 20% chance of rain. Otherwise, mostly sunny and 103. 20% chance for Saturday night as well. And Sunday, mostly sunny and 102. All right, it is 8:16. We're going to take a quick 2.5-minute commercial break. Then we'll play our interview with Don Weld and Kim Ryan from the Alzheimer's Association for Southeast New Mexico. Don't go away.
Oasis Computers has been Roswell's trusted source for home and small business computers for over 30 years, and they continue to be your best resource for computer repairs, operating system upgrades, web root managed, antivirus, special orders, and more. Oasis Computers is now open from 8 to 1, Monday through Friday to better serve you. Service calls by appointments and after-hour appointments are available too. Stop by Oasis Computers at 1703 North Garden or call or text 575-624 855-9141 for even faster service.
Most of the problems that people have with plants comes down to basic farm management. That means knowing what to plant and when to plant it. Hi, this is Jim Gill from Roswell Seed Company. Planting at the wrong time usually leads to disappointment and heartache, sort of like your first love. But planting at the right moment puts Mother Nature on your side, and that makes growing things easier and a whole lot more fun. So before you plant anything, come to see us at Roswell Seed, or just give it a try and hope for the best. It gives me a chance to say, I told you so.
Are you an accountant looking for a job?
And I think I can say without fear of contradiction that the ideal job for you is accountancy.
Well, you're in luck. Central Valley Electric Cooperative is hiring an accountant work order clerk. Interested in applying? Drop by the CVE office or apply online at cvecoop.org. A full job description and other open positions can also be found on the website. Apply, and you just might become part of the CVE team. Central Valley Electric Cooperative is an equal opportunity employer.
Have you ever met a single person in your life that enjoys paying taxes? No one does. If you can't sleep at night because you have a huge problem with the IRS, I've got some free advice for you. This service is strictly limited to individuals that owe the IRS $10,000 or more in back taxes. And if you qualify, we can guarantee that you won't be writing a big fat check to the IRS, or our services cost you nothing. The first 100 people that call today will get a free tax consultation worth $500. Stop worrying about your IRS problem. We can help you, we promise. Call the tax doctor right now. I mean right now to learn more.
800-817-2871. 800-817-2871. 800-817-2871. That's 800-817-2871.
Your fingernails grow faster on your dominant hand. Not sure which is your dominant hand? Just wait. You'll nail it. Here's Mike Winters.
And good morning. It is 20 minutes after 9 o'clock, and joining us in studio this morning from the Alzheimer's Association. Really, I guess I'd say Southeast New Mexico, but technically you guys kind of cover all of New Mexico, don't you? So, yes. But joining us here is the regional manager. We'll get our words out here, right? That's part of the thing. They pay me to talk. Kim Ryan here with us this morning, and then, of course, man of many hats, but wearing his Alzheimer's Association hat today, Don Weld. Morning, guys.
Good morning.
How's life at the Alzheimer's Association this morning?
It's great.
Good deal. I know it's kind of, for folks that don't know, I would say the biggest event that probably the Alzheimer's Association locally are known for is the annual Walk to End Alzheimer's event. Mm-hmm. Now, it's not happening right now in the middle of the heat. Don't worry. Yeah. Got a little bit of time. But coming up here in the fall, you'll be back here doing it again, the Walk to End Alzheimer's. And every year you have a great turnout, and usually it's like a whole day with multiple organizations that come and get involved. And it's not just the walk, it's also honoring those who that are fighting the battle, those that have lost the battle, and the families of those that are fighting that battle too. Because, any disease, cancer, anything, it's a family fight. But Alzheimer's, particularly in others, is one where really the victim is not only just the patient sometimes, it's the family. And so there's a lot more support sometimes needed, or a lot more people that need support in an Alzheimer's situation versus a cancer situation. Not trying to say one's worse than the other or any of that, but a lot of people can be impacted by one person having Alzheimer's, even more than cancer sometimes.
Yes.
So we've for years now raising money here, and the part that I think that is making me so happy is in the last 4 or 5 years, we've heard like we're closer than ever to actually figuring out stuff about Alzheimer's, and to be honest, the only reason we're doing that is because people are walking and doing things like that every year to keep raising money to incentivize the research to find the cure for Alzheimer's, so I think groups like this are really doing their part to kick this thing at some point. You know what I mean? So all we're asking is, hey, come walk with us, come get involved, come see, come if you need support. That's the other thing I probably, we talk about raising money to cure this, but the Alzheimer's Association for Southeast New Mexico is a support group. It's when a family gets hit with that diagnosis, their world just completely goes upside down. That's what happens. Right. And you're going to have a lot of questions. You're going to probably be angry, sad, all the emotions that run that gamut. And at some point, you're going to want to figure out, all right, what do we do next? How do we go from here? What's our plan for this from going forward? And the Alzheimer's Association, among others, are there to help families navigate through that kind of stuff. So did I nail it pretty much what the Alzheimer's Association does?
I'm very impressed. I'm like, you've done your homework, or you have a family member.
I talked to Don a time or two. I guess.
We worked this out. You got a phone number for him that
Yes, I do.
some of these people can call?
Well, I can give you the national hotline,
Okay.
and I'll give you my number as well.
Perfect.
For New Mexico. But the number for the 24-hour hotline is 1-800-272-3900.
Okay, and that's for a hotline.
That's a hotline. It'll give you all the information that you need.
Good deal.
Any type of community resource, everything.
And it sounds like no matter what time of day. So,
Exactly.
you got diagnosed that day, but 2 in the morning, it all hits you, and it starts. Someone's there to talk to you at that 2 in the morning.
And I'm going to give you my number because I'm available 24/7 as well.
Awesome.
And, my phone number is 432-209-3711.
I'm just curious. I'm sure you're involved because you were impacted
Yes,
personally as well too.
My mother and my late husband's father also have.
Oh wow! So you've had multiple.
Yeah, and I'm a caretaker to my mother.
Okay.
So, and I want people to reach out to me. The biggest cause that I was telling Dawn about is that people are actually walking up to me because they're afraid they may have Alzheimer's, and so I like to address them, and I can tell them the 10 warning signs, where to go, or hey, we all get older.
Sure.
We all have a little memory lapse here and there, but I can help them differentiate the 10 warning signs.
The difference between getting old versus
Yeah.
getting dementia or Alzheimer's or some of these things.
There's a big difference between dementia and Alzheimer's.
And through the Alzheimer's Association here locally, nationally, wherever, go online. You can find resources to read, learn more about this. You can come by, get brochures. We'll make sure that if you're not an internet person or something like that doesn't like to do that research. But one of the other things that I've always heard, I personally haven't gone through this, but I've friends things. And the other biggest thing you can do during this time is take care of yourself too as the caregiver.
Exactly.
Some of the biggest issues we have in Alzheimer's things is not necessarily the patient itself. I mean, we unfortunately that those kind of all end the same at one point or another. That's just where we're at. But the caretaker, if it at some point it gets to their 24/7 job goes from living their life to managing their loved one's life. And I don't care who you are or how long you've been doing it, that will impact your mental health at some point. At some point, it's going to be too overwhelming or too much to handle, or this is someone you've loved and respected your whole life is falling apart in front of you. That's not easy to take in. No. And so you have to support yourself too. You have to find resources to help you. Because I would hate for Alzheimer's to take two people down. Not only the victim, but the caregiver's own mental health here. Right. And so you've got to be important about that.
Support groups. And we're wanting to put a support group together here in Roswell as well, and in Spanish as well. And then also through some of the support, we also help identify behaviors and triggers, how to deal with them. And when Dad thinks his car's been stolen, but his car was taken away a couple of years ago.
And education is great for the mental health side, because when you're seeing things that you can't explain, at least if you know why, that's an understanding. It's okay. You may not like it, but you're like, okay, at least I know what I'm looking at.
And knowledge is a tool.
Absolutely.
It gives you some control.
It does.
And when you feel like everything's out of control, it does.
And let's face it, getting an Alzheimer's sentence in 2023 is way better than getting it 10 years ago, or 5 years ago for that matter.
we've learned so much
Yeah.
on how to identify and if you get early treatment. So if you spot somebody with some of these warning signs, have that difficult conversation early on.
Sure.
Get them treatment early on, and let's slow down that progression.
You know what I'm kind of curious about, and I don't know if you guys have come across this in some of your research and things, but I noticed like you're starting to see a lot on commercials and TV about apps and different, basically phone apps and things that are kind of like Luminosity and these various. They kind of come in the form of games, but they're like brain games, brain teasers.
I think those are wonderful.
And a lot of them say it's kind of like exercise for your brain and encourage you to do these things. Are the studies showing that people with family history of dementia and Alzheimer's benefit from doing things like that?
I'm sure they do.
Okay.
Because they talk about leaving brain teasers around your home.
Okay.
So, like if you have a picture of your grandson, put his name down underneath there. So there's little brain teaser games that you can do for yourself in your own home to help out.
Gotcha.
But if you just start doing it early on, and it's funny you mentioned that because I play some of those brain teaser games. I'm thinking...
I do too.
Yeah, we all do, and us are absent-minded games, but in actuality, that's very healthy for your brain.
And socialization is another way, and because in the eventually...
Don't isolate.
Yeah, don't isolate.
Not to mention, it helps with younger folks learning critical skills and logic and some of that. You know, that's a great tool to teach.
Sure.
So, I mean, Alzheimer's aside, that's a good side symptom of doing those kind of things, so to speak.
Yeah.
But really, and that's the thing, you know, because you get the Alzheimer's diagnosis and the world changes, and that's where the Alzheimer's Association says, you know, we've all been there. We've all had that moment where that's happened to us. And you feel like the world just ended and you don't know what to do next. And I understand, but you know what? There is light at the end of the tunnel on this despite the fact. And I would like to be optimistic and say if someone was diagnosed with Alzheimer's today, maybe in 5 years we got a cure for them. You know what I mean?
I really think we're on the
I think
path.
we're close. I think
I see a lot of that coming up.
Yeah.
With so
FDA
close.
drugs,
and just even though they don't have a cure today, if you're diagnosed today, hopefully in the earlier versus the later stages, there is so much medicine they can do to mitigate and slow down
slow the process.
that progression of that.
They may never see the moderate or severe stage like we see today if we slow it.
And that's the part that's really rough for everybody, that including the loved ones, because you know, I was just seeing a commercial on TV yesterday for a type of, they called it like an aggravated Alzheimer's, where it gets to the point where some of these folks get just downright hateful, like
you
like
take the sweetest man,
and you're like,
and then they change.
I have never heard that word uttered out of that person's mouth in my whole life, and now and they really say that's actually a type of the Alzheimer's that specifically makes them that angry or that
they're going through so much, and they have so much anxiety, and but they go through a lot of changes, and
I would imagine it's got to be frustrating to have that, you know, because I've had senior moments like, how did I forget that, you know? To be told that you did a whole act or a whole event and have no memory of it, I can't imagine how I'd react to that. You know what I mean? I mean, I'm mad at myself for not knowing it, or thinking you're lying to me. I mean, I don't know how I'd react to that.
Yeah.
It's kind of like when you're driving hours from one place to another, and you get to where you're going, and you say, I don't remember getting here.
How did I get here?
You know? And that's not necessarily dementia or Alzheimer's. That's just fatigue, or you know,
like if you have one too many beers and you do that, it's like, well, that's why you don't drink the beers. But if you did and you start doing it, you're like, well, what's going on here?
You know what a fun way that I tell people to pay attention is when something that you used to do in your everyday life all of a sudden becomes new. So let's say your remote control. You've had that remote control for 5 years. You use it every single day. And all of a sudden you're looking at that remote control and it's new to you.
Gotcha.
You're like, how do I change the channel? How do I do this?
What did it do?
These are some of that memory that starts changing in your everyday daily life.
Yeah.
Usually it's short-term memory, But that one is something you need to, is a red flag.
You know, I had and I still think it's a senioritis moment, but it's happened just once. But I remember I was going to a convenience store to buy something. And I pull out my debit card, and I used the debit card a million times.
Goes away
I've done, I put my pin in.
What's the pass? Yeah.
But there was one day I put it in, and for the life of me, I'm like, what the heck is my pin?
I've done that.
I sat a full 30 seconds before I was like, oh, there it is. But I did for a minute there. I'm like, am I slipping? What is going on? How did I literally put that number in for years, 100 times?
I wrote mine down.
and at that particular moment, it would not come into me. I'm like, I was like, I assure you this is my card. I just don't remember my dang pat.
It just went away.
And then you're like, can I run it as credit? Because I'm sure at that point they're like, yeah, I'm sure this is not a shady transaction.
You got it.
I've been there.
Yeah,
I've been there.
So I mean, sometimes those are senior moments. But if you do see a trend of that kind of stuff, then
it's important.
that's you need to talk to healthcare professionals and see what.
Someone that was an avid reader all of a sudden is not an avid reader anymore because they can't remember the last chapter.
Gotcha.
So that has been told to me several times.
Okay.
Yep.
So that's something else that I find. And my mother was a very avid reader, and now she doesn't read at all. And even the TV shows that she watched has to be very simple TV.
Really?
shows.
Like, she was curious. Is your mother with it sometimes, or is she is it more in and out, or
in
more?
the beginning, you have your good days and your bad days.
Sure.
And then all of a sudden, it's every day has some sort of incident.
A moment, or whatever.
Yeah, and but yeah, it's an everyday
Does
thing now.
does it get to a point eventually where it's the basic taking care of yourself, like forgetting to take a shower, forgetting to use the restroom, forgetting to brush your teeth?
And my story was that when my mother got it was during the pandemic.
Okay.
So I worked in healthcare. So we were avoiding going by moms because we don't want mom to get COVID. And mom is a COPD patient.
So you guys weren't seeing the
we
signs.
Weren't seeing her
because she was a home alone. You were trying to protect her, but in essence.
And so we weren't seeing the conditions on the inside of the house. We weren't seeing things every
You weren't
single
seeing
day.
the same pots and pans that haven't, or the piles of trash.
My mother has never had a dish in her sink. Her house was always clean.
So that was a huge red flag.
Yeah, and then she fell and broke her hip. So we're up there, and I'm thinking,
oh no!
Huh.
And unfortunately, depending on age, that can be a death sentence right there.
And
I
I was thinking maybe it's the meds that she's on.
Yeah.
I'll wait until we get her off the meds, and then I'm like bringing it.
So
to
it wasn't the first thought. There was a battery of things.
I was bringing
before.
it up to the doctor, and then we're going to go into the home and clean it up before she got home. And we're like, oh no, there's something wrong.
Just curious, were you seeing moments of her lapses while you were talking to her at that point, or did she seem
No, she was
normal
very
mom?
clever.
Okay.
She's very clever.
So she was
about
trying to hide her
hiding it.
illness.
She would joke and make jokes.
So she kind of knew, but was not ready to admit, basically.
Right.
Gotcha.
Right.
Okay.
And then, so the family got together and we're like, so we go in, we get her tested, and sure enough, she has Alzheimer's and Parkinson's. The two go hand in hand.
Now, my grandfather died of Parkinson's, and I was just talking about this yesterday on the radio. I would not wish that on anybody. It's because that one is the body skills function,
that's
but
how
the
she fell.
brain is still firing normal. So it's literally trapped in your own prison of a body. That's what happens with Parkinson's, folks. At the end, it gets bad there. So I can't imagine couple that with Alzheimer's.
It's coupled.
Oh, that's a double whammy.
And I asked her, Mama, what year is it? This is when we're all playing. She goes, 1972. I said, that must have been a very good year. That had to be a good year. And then when I ask her, what day it is, same time it was last year. Because she knows she doesn't know that answer, so she always throw it in as a joke.
How is the whole family taking it? I mean, you have medical backgrounds.
I'm the oldest, so and single, so I get most of it. And then we have our days that they come in and they spend a day with mom, so I can get out and do my other job.
Okay.
And so that helps. And it also gives her the socialization that she needs. Because when they start doing that, you'll see that their friends don't come around so much because it's hard to hold a conversation.
Absolutely. They don't. Well, and you want to remember people in the best light, and and it's hard.
Yeah.
It's hard for people to
Oh, she even tells me, I know you're my daughter, but which one?
Yeah.
And I'm like,
And it's hard for you
today
to
I
not-
could really mess with her today.
And I imagine at first it's hard for you to not take that personally. You know,
At first,
yeah.
you know, the Alzheimer's Association has taught me a lot.
Yeah.
Just go with the flow.
And I'm guessing your healthcare background probably does help you give a little bit of knowledge is power, as we were
And then
saying earlier.
knowledge
So,
is power. And
Yeah.
I'll have friends that will come to my door any hour and help me out. So I'm blessed there. And
But that's what really, to be honest, every family needs when it comes to Alzheimer's. I know it. A lot of times it does turn to that one person that's kind of carrying the burden of the battle, the primary caregiver. But you've got to work as a family and work together. Yeah, if you have the one primary, great. But like you said, spell them, help them, make sure that they are taken care of, make sure they're eating, sleeping, getting downtime, and doing things that aren't related to your loved one, so they can also, be okay here.
Yeah.
So that's even if you're like, I can't deal with mom this way or whatever. Okay, I understand, but do other things to make it easier for the family members that can.
and we promised ourselves that we'd keep her at home as long as we can.
As long as you can, you take care
And
of
then
her.
when she gets to the point where she don't know where she's at,
Yeah.
then it's like we were explained that you're not a mechanic,
Mhm.
but you can change your own oil. But would you change your own transmission? Then you need to seek professional help.
Exactly.
So when it gets to that point, we're not helping mom or your wife or your husband. Take them somewhere that someone can help them.
Sure.
So that's when it comes to needing a home.
Yeah, and unfortunately, most Alzheimer's cases end to where they need to be professionally helped
Oh,
because the workload gets above the ability of the loved ones.
And
Just
they do a lot of cool stuff in those memory wings.
I mean, even hospice stuff is a little not enough for some of these
No,
folks.
no,
You know what I mean? It's just they
they're a
need
blessing.
specialized care.
But they're a blessing.
Yes.
Yeah. But
I've seen some of the not all Alzheimer's, but just end of life experiences in my life, and hospice folk workers and the good ones, which I've been lucky. Everyone I've ever dealt with was a good one. Are saints. They're people that their whole world is to make calm in the crappiest of scenarios, and they do amazing things.
And we do have some good hospice people here in Roswell.
Yeah.
And some good Alzheimer's units.
Good.
Yeah.
That's good. And that makes it so much
I
better.
visited one the other day, and I was impressed.
Yeah.
And
Because it's just so hard, and when you're new to this whole world, and mom or dad or your loved one gets diagnosed, it's tough. And Don, you both of you have gone through exactly what I'm talking about. I haven't, so, but y'all can attest. And this is why Don's so passionate in his own life about many things. I think Alzheimer's a big one, but I think you're as busy as you are just because you spent a good hunk of time being that primary person for your wife and things, and when you ultimately lost her, your own mental health insanity, you're like, I got to do something. I got to be relevant, and now he helps everybody and their uncle in the community.
he's been a great source for me. But did you know 1 in 4 seniors, when they pass away, have some sort of dementia or Alzheimer's?
Really?
1 in 4.
So it's that
Do you know
big?
African American women are twice as likely
Okay.
over
The
a
DNA
white
just
female.
is more receptive to Alzheimer's.
And so is the Hispanics is
Okay.
1.5 more times than older whites.
Okay.
So it has a lot to do with genetics and our families and how we're raised and what our
And this is
what our
stuff they're
lifestyles
learning
are.
because if you would have asked 10 years ago, they'd be like, "Is it hereditary? I don't know. Is it
women over men?
is
Period.
it a lifestyle thing? I don't know. Is it and to be honest, they didn't have any real patterns one way or another. It's like, it looks like there's a family history, but not necessarily. It looks like it could be lifestyle, but not necessarily. And so they really
been able to pinpoint it down some areas.
Yeah.
Like Kim is saying, it seems to be more genetic.
Okay.
DNA related.
That's kind of where they're finding
in general areas.
But is it skip generations and things like
I'm sure.
baldness or some of that?
Every case is different.
Yeah.
But you're more likely to get it if you have a sibling or a parent with it.
Okay.
you're more in line.
So you're that is fact. We can say that is fact now, that if you have a loved one, blood relative, that is Alzheimer's, dementia, that does increase your risk.
And we're being diagnosed as early as 50, 51.
Okay, so they're even.
And it's because of early detection and be able.
Well, that makes so much sense. If you can spot it at 50 as opposed to 65, 70, maybe you can, to where they, like you said before, don't even experience the harsher side of it, or. You're 51 diagnosed. Maybe by the time 10 years from now, it's a complete cure.
And people were afraid to talk about it 10 years ago.
That's
We're
right.
not afraid to talk about it now.
Well, thank God mental health is finally getting the spotlight for health care.
Recognition.
We're still way behind in all facets of mental health, but at least we're saying, no, these are patients, victims, just like someone with cancer or someone that broke a leg. Mental health condition, be it Alzheimer's or bipolar or whatever. Right. All of that stuff, it's brain screwy, put them in a room somewhere and forget about them.
Right.
That was our mindset.
Right.
Yep. Or let's lobotomize them. And you know how that worked out. So we're way behind on this stuff, and we're just now learning. And to be honest, we're still not perfect. We're still learning, what's right, because you're balancing mental health. It's like tough love versus being gentle versus, medicine versus behavior changes. How do we do all this? And there's no right answer on some of this. It depends on the person. Yeah. And so we're still learning all that. We'll get better at it as science evolves. And who knows, maybe we'll have a magic pill one day that changes your personality. I don't know. But till then we don't. And
It's a really, we got to find cause and effect here. We really haven't narrowed down the cause like we would like.
Because at least if we can prevent it from there, maybe it's saying, okay, if we've been doing something that's causing this, let's stop doing that.
That's cause and effect.
Yeah.
You find the cause, then you have a much easier time doing what's necessary to eliminate the effect.
Sure. And I would imagine, too, there's so many variations of the dementia and Alzheimer's depending on, and so it impacts different things differently.
That's right.
So maybe their memory is good, but there's a certain aspect of the memory that's not good, or it's a emotional change. Now they're always sad or happy, or it's different for every case, or maybe it's dementia, not Alzheimer's.
Or
maybe
vascular.
Or vascular. Yeah, there's so many.
The different meds that you're taking. That's why you need to have it
Yep.
broke down.
Figure it
That's
out.
why no two patients are the same treatment or the same care. It could be now, sure, similar, and let's things like that, but we're not at a stage where they say, okay, you got a broken bone. This is what we do for a broken bone. We're not there yet for Alzheimer's. We're not even close. We're not even there for cancer. I mean, you look at cancer.
Well, they're working on some fun stuff, though. They're working on blood work.
Good deal.
They're working on a test that you can see through your eye.
Okay.
So this stuff is in the works.
Right. Yeah, I remember that.
But
we'll get there. We just you got to let technology get there.
And it takes time.
It does,
and
but
money.
it's amazing.
And money. That's why we do the walk.
I've been here for
raise
50
money.
years, and you guys as well. You've seen amazing things in your lifetime that was not conceivable when you were children or when I was a child.
Right.
And now it's commonplace. Trust me, young folks, you will get there too.
Yeah.
There's going to be a time where you're going to be antiquated like us, and you're going to be like, what do you mean TikTok's just fine? I don't need to use blah, 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 whatever thing is going to be in the future that nothing works, And then, you're like, where's good music like Ed Sheeran and all these, popular people today? Instead of this garbage I got today, what's this noise? Is that a flute? I don't even know what that is. That's what we think of your music. Trust me, you're going to think of your kids' music the same way.
Yeah.
Same thing with technology. It's going to be better. Hopefully, when you're in your 50s, we're talking about get screenings for Alzheimer's, prevent it now. We're kind of like colon cancer or some of these where there's a screening that you go and they can tell right away if you're in the danger zone or not. You know.
Now you're talking about in the 50s. I actually met a person whose parent contracted or was diagnosed with Alzheimer's at 45.
Wow, that's early.
I've heard that too.
Wow.
And then they were extended that out for over 20 years.
Wow.
They had to suffer through that.
Wow. I just curious. Was there anything unique or unusual about this person's life?
I don't remember.
Did they have a unique career field or anything like that?
Yeah. It was somebody I was talking to on an airplane flight.
Okay.
And,
they can spend a lot of time in holes or around asbestos or something weird like that.
That could be.
Yeah.
Could be. We
It's
don't.
all the McDonald's we eat.
Maybe. Well, like
we eat differently than what we did.
Oh, absolutely.
years
Well,
ago.
but even McDonald's is different than
Yeah.
like if you ate McDonald's in the 70s versus eating
the same.
McDonald's in 2023, it's not the same way they make food.
That's right. That's right.
That's why they go back and say, now with 100% beef in our burger. And it's like, you had to tell us that now? You know, it's like, I thought it was always like that.
Hopefully we have grown and learned and changed in the good.
And then you hear about the pink goo that one of these other places uses beef, and you're like, oh, God.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I'm sure that wreaks havoc on our bodies, too. So, especially if you eat it every day. But anyway, that's life here. If folks wanting to get involved and want resources, maybe they either they want to volunteer and become a thing, or
sign up
maybe
for a
they're
walk.
or if they're a family that is looking for resources, maybe you just got hit with the diagnosis and you're in that stage where you're like, what do we do next?
Alzheimer's.org.
That is the website.
Or ALZ.
ALZ.org.
Yep.
Does Southeast New Mexico have a Facebook or a local page that they can kind of reach out locally?
Yep.
Okay.
When you go to alz.org, you can then look on there and direct it
to your local,
to your local chapter.
Yeah, it'll tell you the local chapter. You can look.
Is it
up.
by county generally here in New Mexico, or is it by city?
Actually, it's actually Roswell's by itself and Hobbs is by itself.
Okay.
Right. Yeah.
And they kind of cover Southeast New Mexico
Yes.
between the two.
Yeah.
So if you're in Artesia, Carlsbad, or somewhere in between,
You're good to go.
pick which way direction you feel like going.
That's right.
As far as Clovis,
Once you're there, you look up the Roswell Walk.
Okay.
and sign up.
Just search Roswell Walk, and it'll bring you into the Roswell one. There are a lot of individual sites on there.
Okay.
I have one. I have an individual site.
Okay. What? And now we haven't done the dates and everything yet. I know. I just said the fall.
11/4.
Okay, the 4th of
November.
November 4th, and it'll be in the morning. They like to do it in the morning, and it'll be on the courthouse lawn this year.
Yep.
And I know you kind of had to change things like during the COVID years a little bit, where it was there was some virtual and some. But last year I think was the full.
Yep, it
back
was.
to normal.
We went out to see
Alzheimer's
Ella
walk.
Grande at that time.
Yeah, but this year, so it'll all be on the courthouse lawn this year.
Courthouse
We're going
lawn.
right back to the basics.
Good deal.
We want everybody to see us out there as they go up and down
yeah,
there.
absolutely. Is there the community, like, I know you get it was a community garden and all, like in years
Yes,
past and
we will
stuff. Is
have-
that all part of this year's event too?
Usually they put the flower garden. Is that what it's called?
Flower garden.
Mm-hmm.
Usually we have put that at the Otero Federal Credit Union up here on North Main.
Okay, so is that where
and
it'll probably?
I think we're working on getting that again.
Okay.
But we can do that. yeah.
Florists. Come on out. We need you. We need you to spread some beauty and love for
That's
us out
right.
here. And of course, we want to invite everyone to come on out. Start putting your teams together. If you know what, if you don't have a team, I'm sure we can make some teams for you. If you want to get together and all we're doing is raise awareness, raising money, and helping walking. A lot of it is through your social media and through your contacts, and just encouraging them to wear the purple and to raise awareness so everyone knows that this is something that we need to be aware of, important of. Hopefully, maybe someone's getting that diagnosis and don't know where to turn. They see a person in a purple shirt, and that's their awareness to go find help. But at the same time, let's keep raising money. Let's raise more thousands of dollars. So in 5 years or whatever, they're like, yeah, we've nipped it. We've got a drug or a procedure that is now reversing the signs of Alzheimer's. That would be.
And if you want to help out, there's another place. Farmers Market is coming up.
Okay.
That starts in July.
Yeah, right after UFO Festival here, like mid-July. Yeah.
The Saturday after.
Yeah, it's
every Saturday morning. I will be there. We're going to have American Legion Friends of Italy.
He's wearing all his hats.
And Alzheimer's. Right there.
He needs
together.
more heads for all the hats. So you see a four-headed Don.
Oh, also we'll have the veterans transport there.
Oh, good. Another great. See, another thing he's involved with. He helps. He needs a fifth head with a hat.
One station right there, right in front of the walkway up to the courthouse.
Yeah.
Right there on the corner. We'll have all of that under 2 tents right together there.
And since he's near the American Legion, right there with all that, he's near cookies because the American Legion folks have cookies.
Oh yeah, come by and see Lee. He'll get you some cookies.
And cookies always make you feel better. So if you come learn about Alzheimer's and then have a cookie.
There you go. There you go.
And then now it's not too early. Sign up for the Walk to End Alzheimer's for Roswell here. It's going to be November 5th on the Chaves County. November 4th. I'm sorry. Yeah. On the Chaves County Courthouse lawn. Sign up. Start putting your teams together. Do you guys have a minimum you try to ask that they raise each team? Like
we tell them $100.
$100 per player or per person,
That's
basically,
the idea.
is kind of that's usually the standard. But you're certainly not required to stop there. And whatever you raise is be awesome because 1 penny more is 1 penny closer to getting us to where we need to be.
And we do recognize those who earn a whole lot more.
Good deal.
We get
our hustlers. We do like to recognize.
We let the hustlers be known.
And we would love for all those fighting the battle or have fought the battle. We would love for you to come out. We love to celebrate you, to help you, to just remind you that you're loved and that we thank you because you're setting the table for the next generation that has to fight this battle.
Right.
You're leading that example by them. So we would love for you to come out and support. And I imagine all of you want to see this thing licked in the bud more so than most people out there.
Oh, yeah.
So come help us do that. And your example will be our strength to get this done.
Yep.
And because that's the cool thing, especially if we get our new people maybe just got diagnosed in the last year or so and are in that stage. We're doing this to save y'all's lives because we want to make sure you are the generation that gets the cure. We want to make sure you're the first of many that gets that cure.
We at the walk we give out flowers, little spinner flowers, different colors,
and that kind of signifies
where you're
fought.
Yeah, and we're looking for someone to carry that first white flower.
Yes.
Yeah,
that's the
that's the one who get cured
in remission, or I'm cured here.
Right,
and we are excited to do that, and we're hoping to see that here soon.
Yes,
soon. But in the meantime, go to alz.org is probably the best. Like you said, if you the Alzheimer's Association for Roswell, anything you type that into like Facebook or something, and then if you have questions about the event on the 4th or want information about resources or anything related to Alzheimer's, they'll shoot a message and they'll come back and get you anything you need to answer your questions.
And if you're a company wanting some community
looking
projects,
for sponsors,
come on out, sign your teams up.
We love a lot of great money is raised thanks to some of our larger companies that put teams together. Your Pioneer Banks, your Otero Credit Unions,
Leprino.
Leprino. They've put teams
done
in
so much money into this whole community.
Yeah, they
so many ways.
They put in teams, they donate, they sponsor with So when you see thank you to Leprino and thank you to all these different, that's because they've given a lot of money to everybody walking and showing the awareness, raising the awareness, and raising $500 here per team or whatever. Awesome, all great. But what helps push the needle sometimes is when that sponsorship says, "Here's a $5,000 check, here's a $10,000 check, here's a $1,000 check." Those move the needle to our research. So all of it's very important to have. So I'm not trivializing one or the other, but I'm just saying that sometimes those big donations are the ones that push us over the top. But when you see United Way doing their little the temperature thing, thermostat deal, that's what puts it right up to the top. Is when you get that business or something that kind of says, you know what, I love what they're doing. Here's $5,000.
What was it, the kids at the school?
I was thinking about them too. Monterey.
Monterey?
Monterey, that's
Okay.
the word. I'm new to Roswell.
Yeah, she's a hub. She's
They
a hub.
they raised $21,000 on a purple color run,
That's awesome.
and that came from children.
That's great.
The kids went out and did that.
Yeah.
Believe it or not, some of
That was
our
a couple months ago.
best ralliers of supporting organizations are schools.
Yep.
That's why, like things like donating blood during the summer is so important because, believe it or not, Vitalent gets most of the blood from high schools and things like that during the school year. That dries up during the summer. So blood supply is always low, but even more so during the summer because of things like that. So same thing with food drives. I don't know how many times Harvest Ministries, which is a kind of like the Roadrunner Food Bank for this area, they kind of are the branch for it here. They say the same thing. Most of their stuff comes from those canned food drives and things that schools put together, and dries up during the summer because of that kind of stuff. So it does not surprise me that Monterey's in there raising $21,000. Schools kick butt when it comes to getting the word out and raising money
And they
for
made
grief.
it look easy.
Yeah, yeah. I love that's one of my favorite things. Every time I hear about schools doing that, and because at the end of the day, these kids are all learning that valuable lesson of it's important to help others. It's important to give back when you can. When you're in need, please reach out. But when you can give back and do it, it's very rewarding.
That's right.
And so it's great to see. So if anybody's interested, any businesses, organizations, other nonprofit groups want to partner up, any Kiwanians or JCs or Eagles or anybody out there want to put their teams together, we'd love to have you come on out there. I know American Legion. We're we're all fat and old, but we'll be out there walking.
You got it. You got it.
Probably need to do more walking.
That'll be me. Where's my cane?
Hey, we take scooters.
Hey, that's right.
That's right.
Working smarter, not harder. Technology is our friend. Whenever we can do it, move faster. But we would love, and to be honest, on November 4th, we would love to see nothing but a sea of purple. On the courthouse lawn here on November 4th.
And younger, regardless of whether they are a patient or have insurance. Here's the following dates and times. It'll begin Saturday, the 15th, from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. You can call 885-4191 for further details. A 4-month project to replace the North Garden Avenue Bridge, a short distance south of East College Boulevard, is scheduled to start this week on Wednesday. The work of removing the current bridge and building a new one will require the closure of North Garden between East College and Cherry Street. Detours will be in place, and access will be provided to businesses and residences. The project is scheduled to be completed in mid-November. You're up to date with local news. I'm Jared Sorello.
Your home for Coast to Coast AM in Roswell, 106.5, Roswell's Talk FM, KEND, Roswell, New Mexico.
Flooding of historic proportions has claimed at least one life in New York's lower Hudson Valley. Orange County Executive Steve Newhouse says a victim, a woman in her 30s in the town of Highlands.
She was trying to leave her home because of the flash flooding and didn't make it across. She was walking her dog across, from what we know, and got swept up by the literally rapids. It's incredible, the amount of water here. And she got washed away.
Speaking with WABC-TV, Orange and Rockland counties on the west side of the Hudson River were especially hard hit. National Weather Service meteorologist Andrew Orison says that more rain is expected today for some spots.
It does look like some of the worst of the conditions will tend to be a little bit farther north. So some of the areas that were hard hit over southeastern New York last evening should gradually see things improve. Much of the heavy rainfall will gradually push up to the north. Get up through areas of Vermont, New Hampshire, and also areas of western Massachusetts.
It's tea with the king at Windsor Castle and a meeting with the Prime Minister. President Biden stopped in England before heading to the NATO summit in Lithuania. The war in Ukraine will dominate the agenda for the NATO gathering. It gets underway tomorrow. White House National Security Advisor Jake Sullivan.
When President Putin launched this war, he expected that Western unity would fracture, that NATO would break, that our support to Ukraine would wither over time. He was wrong.
But many of the allies do take issue with Mr. Biden's decision to supply Ukraine with cluster munitions. California Republican Congressman Darrell Issa wants to question FBI Director Christopher Wray sometime this week about the recent discovery of cocaine in the White House. Issa is a member of the GOP-led House Oversight Committee. On Wall Street, the Dow up 137 points, the NASDAQ down 12. More on these stories at townhall.com.
The recent bank failures are serving as a warning about how fragile our banking system really is. As millions of Americans panic, do you know what central banks are doing? Well, they're actually buying up gold at record levels. They're relying on it as a safe haven during these difficult times. That's how confident they are in the dollar. Hi, I'm Lance Wallnow, Christian author and evangelical leader to millions of people just like you. We're all Americans who want to protect our family's savings no matter what. I tell people the best option is to diversify their 401k or IRA into physical gold or silver with the help of Birch Gold Group. To see how it works, just text the word FAITH to the number 989898 to get a free information kit on gold IRAs. Look, there's no strings attached. It's not going to hurt you to take action now. So take the first step today and educate yourself. Get your free info kit when you text FAITH to 989898 right now. And I pray you and your family are greatly blessed.
A knife-wielding man has killed several people in an attack at a kindergarten in southeastern China.
The attack in a city in Guangdong province happened in the early morning. A news outlet, Dafeng News, cited an unidentified witness saying the attacker's child had been earlier struck by a car of one of the teachers at the school. The witness said the teacher in question was apparently killed in the attack. A 25-year-old man was arrested following the stabbing. Attacks on kindergartens in China are reported regularly. 20 children were killed in an attack in 2010. And in 2020, a school guard was accused of injuring 39 people with a knife. I'm Karen Chamas.
Leaders of the Solomon Islands and China promising to expand their relations as Solomon Islands Prime Minister had a meeting today with Chinese leader Xi Jinping and the country's number 2 leader. News and analysis, townhall.com. A Vegas police officer goes on trial today for a series of casino heists.
Prosecutors say Caleb Rogers, now 35, carried out 3 robberies over a 4-month period using a police department-issued weapon. Rogers' attorney says the government's evidence against his client is weak. Rogers is accused of carrying out the first 2 casino robberies between November 2021 and January 2022, making off with a total of more than $85,000. Following the 3rd robbery in February 2022, in which Rogers allegedly bagged $79,000, security guards detained him outside following a brief struggle. I'm Donna Warder.
100 million and counting, that is the number of users of Meta's recently launched text-based platform. It's called Threads. At the same time, analysts report that traffic on Twitter is down sharply. More on these stories, townhall.com.
What in the wide, wide world of sports is going on here?
I promise you, whatever scum did this, not one man in this force will rest for 1 minute until he's behind bars. Now let's grab a bite to eat. Yeah, come on.
I feel the hot wind on my shoulder and the touch of a world that is older. I hit the switch and check the number. I leave it on and then I slumber. I hear the rhythm ringing through it. Flamenco guitar and cumbia music. I hear the talking of the DJ. The travel listen, what does he say? I'm on a Mexican radio. I'm on a Mexican world radio.
Broadcasting live from high atop the J.P. White Building in downtown Roswell, New Mexico. It's Mornings with Mike Winters on 106.5 Roswell's Talk FM.
Is that what I sound like when I talk?
Now, here's your host, Mike Winters.
And good morning. It is 6 minutes after 9 o'clock. Welcome to hour number 3.
Tres Inviernos
of Mornings with Mike Winters, right here on 106.5 Roswell's Talk FM. Happy Monday, everybody.
Yes.
I know it's not fun to say like Friday, but happy Monday. It is the summer. And hopefully you had a great weekend and are ready to pull the week ahead of you. It's going to be hot. We do have rain chances today, so
yeah,
look forward to that. Apparently, like a 50% chance of rain this afternoon.
Why is everyone busy on Mondays? Like, everyone's usually busy on Mondays. Like, their Sundays, I guess it's because their Sundays are
well, the weekends, the downtime, and then everyone kind of gets back, typically, not always, but generally the masses all go back to it on Monday. And so, it just creates more work. People are more,
Yeah,
Actually, I think in the big scheme of things, like they say, Tuesday's the more busier day of the week for most people.
Right.
Like usually Monday, because people calling sick or they're coming back from vacation.
Yeah, one of the two.
But Tuesday's the real day that people get. But I think it's just the fact that you've been sleeping in on the weekend and now you can't sleep in. And so you're just like, I think it's just that life of now I don't get to do what I want. I'm on the schedule of somebody else now.
Yeah.
As opposed to the weekend where it's like, I'm going to sleep till 8 o'clock. By golly, I'm going to sleep till 8 o'clock or 10 o'clock. Or I'm going to sit in my pajamas and watch Netflix all day.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's your choosing. Now, whether you do something with it, that's one thing. But, I mean,
Or especially if you're waiting for someone to do something on a Monday or a Tuesday, or you're like got to meet someone, then you're like, okay, my schedule revolves around you now.
Well, that's just life, man. And the older you get, the more you realize that you're always waiting on somebody for something. It seems like in some way, or they're waiting on you. And that's that's half the thing. But I just think it's just that change of doing basically what I kind of plan versus what someone planned for me. And that's, I think, the difference is at the end of the day, you go to work and stuff, you want a paycheck, so you have to be here at a certain time and you have to do X, X, and X to get your paycheck. And and that's what you got to do to live.
Right.
And then people are like, I got to do that. I got to slay the dragon, got to make the donuts, got to do the thing today.
Bring home the bacon.
And we're all working for the weekend, just like the 80s song.
Well, what I hate is that when you want to do something like before Friday and then it doesn't get done, then it gets put off until Monday. So it's like, because Saturday and Sunday you don't want to do anything.
Right. And it also depends in the circles of which, yes, in atypical
or they put it off till
world,
Tuesday because for some reason Monday is just, it has that little bit of that extra Sunday in it or something.
And to be honest, life's way faster now than it was when you were a kid or when I was a kid and when your parents were kids. It's just technology and life. Like information traveled slower. So things didn't get, and now we live in where information's.
Now we're more busy.
And so it turns out to where it's like, dude, I got to physically carve out the day or I'm just going to get wrapped up in stuff. So whereas back in the day, it was accepted. The weekends are off. That's Sunday's the Lord's Day. It's just kind of we're breaking from that, or evolved or devolved, whatever you want to say, over the years from that. And is it good or bad? It just is. It's life and technologies. But at the end of the day, you can do what you want as long as you do it, and that's you got to find a way to do that yourself versus just falling into the grind of every other person's routine.
Or you're not important enough to be on someone's Monday schedule because they got to do all their Monday stuff, so they move you to Tuesday, and that's what sucks. 'Cause it's like, But it's like whatever, I just hate the waiting part. That's all I hate.
Yeah, well,
it's like I'm just waiting on people.
The older you get, the more you're waiting on people. It's just back to life. It's just someday you get married, and then you'll be waiting on a spouse to do things, and it's just life's a big wait. You're waiting on somebody all the time. It's just. But is it worth the wait? That's where life is because when the good things happen after the wait is the, then we get to all of our sayings and colloquialisms and, all the little nursery rhymes. And, there is some truth based on life experiences. Good things come to those who wait and all. These are all begotten because of the things you're talking about. We wish this and that. And it's like, well, if you do it, this gets you through I was listening to the best of Clay and Buck over the weekend, and I know it's going to upset people, but they said something that is not wrong. I think it was Clay. Don't quote me. And I guess they look at the statistics, and if you want to succeed in life, there are 3 things that people that succeed in life have that people that quote unquote aren't don't, and it's 3 things. And one of them was they don't get married before they don't have kids before they're 25. Mm-hmm. They get a high school diploma, and they get married. Those 3 things, when those 3 things are there, generally speaking, people don't live in poverty. Mm-hmm. It's just, I'm sure there's an exception to every rule, but if you look at the statistics and everything, that a person that didn't have kids before they're 25, that got their high school degree or diploma, and at some point get married, generally aren't living in poverty. Whereas, now I'm not saying that's the recipe, like everybody has to do that to not be in poverty, but are saying that, hey, you do this, this, and this, odds are pretty good you're going to be here. Whereas, and then you look at people that are in poverty or are dealing with that, and it's like, well, okay, what's the variables here? Right. You're a single parent. Yes, you are. Are you a parent in your 20s or before a single parent and you're under 25? Yeah, these are just variables that if you do things in a certain time, it stacks the deck against you. And that's why, parents and everybody are so important about talking to your kids about doing these things at a certain time because, and I know there's no one path to everything, and I get all that. And just because you do one of these things doesn't mean your life's ruined. But at the same time, if you can avoid these things, it's a lot easier to succeed than a person that doesn't avoid those things. That's all they're saying. And there's some truth to that. And I know we get in a world now, it's like, well, what about me? Yeah, I get what about you. But you know what? Yeah. If you do these things and you did these things, it's going to be easier to succeed. That's how it works here in this country.
Now that I'm getting older, I'm wondering if it's the right thing. Like, if it was actually better to have kids early on, because there's a lot of benefits to it. Like
it's school of thought on that. I mean, you talk to 20 people, get 20 different answers. So
in my experience, working at fast food and stuff.
Yeah.
The ones who did have the children early, they actually got more sympathy from the management and got especially the females. They would get, the promotions faster because of the pity.
And that's factor, where, because in theory,
because I have a kid, so I need this position more than the guy who doesn't have a kid.
And that's why we live in the world we live in, because that's how people have shown favoritism instead of promoting people based on skills and competence. This is where we're at. And I'm not saying it's good or bad what you're saying, but that's one of the reasons where we sit today. And that's, we have to learn that, I get it. You have circumstances that made it harder if you get here. I get that. But that doesn't change that the job needs to get done, and this is what it takes to get the job done. And that's the difference we as a society need to figure out. It's like, it's not a good thing to be a victim. A goal to be a victim, to be the one I'm a single parent. That's not something to strive to. But we live in a society where they're almost saying, no, you could do it. And I'm not saying you can't do it. But you shouldn't try to go that path, is what I'm saying. Is that's not a way to get there that you want to choose. That's what happens when mistakes were made earlier. What they're saying is don't make those mistakes so you don't make it harder on yourself. But people...
Right, I agree with for the most part.
Yeah. But people turn that into you're judgy or this and that. It's like, no. If you do this, this, and this, you're going... That's why we preach on so bad about, kids and sex and all the things that we preach about, because there's years and years and years and lifetimes of experiences pointing out that if you do it this way, that it's a lot harder than if you do it the other way. It's just and I know people are like, well, the tradition and how they, you're right on some aspects, but at the end of the day, the values don't change. Either you're a good person or not. It doesn't matter how good your technology is or how bad your technology is. Good people do good things. Bad people do bad things, and that's what happens.
Deep thoughts with Mike Winters on a Monday.
But because everyone wants an excuse, everyone wants a reason, and everyone and it's popular to be a victim. Oh, well, I had it harder than you, therefore you must celebrate me. And it's like, no, that's not how America works. We're glad you're awesome, but you don't get special treatment because you got a different path, and that's
a mindset.
Yeah, and that's something we need to, as a society, need to train our brain away from, because that's all creating more of the division, more of the hate. We gotta, if you keep telling people you're different, they're going to expect that, and they're going to think that.
I'm having hard times right now.
Well, I mean, that's just it. It's like people tell you, well, you're a fear this way because of this. Who told you that? Society did. They're full of crap. Just because you're a certain color makes no difference on your skill or ability level. But we have a society where we've trained people to think that.
Right.
And it's a slippery slope that we've got to unget ourselves out of.
Oh, yeah.
And so it's a whole lot. That's who's wanting to get.
Well, not even like skin color exactly, but just like, pity me because I made terrible decisions.
I say it a lot at the end of the day. I don't know. Somebody texted me that.
You say at the end of the day a lot.
I do, yes.
That's what I
call it a crutch, but I do. It's just the conversation I'm talking about. I can change it when push comes to shove, or when the rubber meets the road. But I use at the end of the day.
Or we're all on the same team. We're on the same boat too. That's another one of the Mike Winters.
I know.
Isms.
I'm full of cool, but I ain't wrong. Doesn't make me any wrong. So I say it. So be it. I mean, that's fine. But anyway,
we all have our isms.
I'm going to get off my soapbox so we can have our guests come in, because I know I'm getting the territory where people get mad. I'm like, sorry, you do X, X, and X. This is what happens. That's called life. Deal with it. At the end of the day. All right, it is 18 minutes after 9 o'clock. Let's get you up to date with the weather.
I'm meteorologist Steve Hamilton with your Pecos Valley weather. We have some moist air coming in from the south, and that may bring us a few showers or thunderstorms by this afternoon. Some of those storms could be severe with large hail and damaging wind. It will be hot today. Our afternoon high in the low 100s. Wind will be a little bit gusty. For tonight, maybe a shower or thunderstorm till about midnight. Cloudy and mid-70s. Back to sunshine on Tuesday, around 105. That's your latest forecast. I'm meteorologist Steve Hamilton.
Sorry, my browser officially went south on me just as I was trying to refresh the weather. So it froze up and said, "You're not working right now. Would you like to restart?" No, I just like you to work. All right, let's see. All right, now I'm back. Currently 76 degrees here in Roswell. Humidity is at 74% with winds out of the southeast at 5 miles per hour. They're saying there's a chance. Rain chances, 50% chance of scattered showers and thunderstorms, mainly after 3 today. They do say some of the storms could be severe in nature. Sunny early, then becoming mostly cloudy and hot with a high near 103. Winds will be out of the south, 10 to 20 miles per hour. Chance of rain is at 50%, and they're saying less than a tenth of an inch unless we get a thunderstorm rolling through the area. So that's what they're saying. 20% chance at showers and thunderstorms before midnight tonight as well. Mostly cloudy. Overnight low 74 degrees. South winds 10 to 15. Tuesday, sunny and hot, 106 for a high. Wednesday, mostly sunny and 108. Thursday, there is a 20% chance of rain, mostly sunny, 107. Friday, sunny and 106. And then Saturday, a 20% chance of rain, mostly sunny, 103. Sunny and 102 on Sunday. So nothing below 100 for the next week or so here. All right, it is 20 minutes after 9. We're going to take a 3-minute commercial break, and then we're going to have John and Crystal Noble wearing their Roswell Seed hat this morning. So we'll have they'll join us here on the other side. Do not go away. You're listening to Mornings with Mike Winters.
More than 50 million Americans live with chronic pain. If you're experiencing pain that interferes with your daily life, Artesia General Hospital can help. Dr. Casey Della Barca and our compassionate team of providers treat a variety of conditions, including arthritis, back and neck pain, migraines, neuropathy, and more. We offer advanced procedures and comprehensive therapy, and we personalize treatment plans to help you get back to living a quality life. Request an appointment at artesiageneral.com/pain.
Get your summer grilling on with delicious homegrown beef from Runyon Cattle Beef. Get top choice grade A meat in whole, halves, or quarters delivered to your home freezer and experience the difference between store-bought and 100% locally grown Runyon Cattle Beef. Need seasoning? No problem. Runyon Cattle Beef's very own red meat seasoning and cactus salt are included with all beef orders. For pricing, orders, or more information, call Lisa Runyon at 575-760-5655 today.
If you're missing a tooth or several teeth, a dental implant may be the ultimate solution. Implants look and feel so much like real teeth that you probably forget you have an implant. Maupin & Brown Dentistry is one of New Mexico's most experienced implant providers, with literally thousands of implant patients who are absolutely delighted with the results. Call Maupin & Brown today for an evaluation. You'll be surprised how affordable implants can be. Maupin & Brown, your choice for experienced, state-of-the-art dentistry.
Edge Safety and Services LLC in Artesia, New Mexico has an immediate opening for a safety technician. Position requires a clean driving record and must be able to pass a drug and alcohol screen. Edge Safety offers great pay with IRA benefits and employer contribution towards health benefits. Please email resumes to edgecoding@yahoo.com or apply in person at 402 West Main Street inside the Edge Safety and Services facility. Edge Safety and Services LLC is an equal opportunity employer.
It takes a long time to develop trust. At LaGrone Funeral Chapel, they've been earning your trust for decades. They understand how important it is to friends and family to celebrate a life in the way you choose. The professionals at LaGrone will ease your stress and anxieties. They'll provide the guidance you need to select a service that's appropriate. And that's what they've been doing for generations, earning your trust and doing the right thing. LaGrone Funeral Chapel and Crematory, 900 South Main in Roswell. Online at LaGroneFuneralChapels.com.
As part of the ongoing effort to keep the roads of New Mexico safe, we would like to share a list of things you should never attempt behind the wheel of your automobile.
Texting your friends, wrestling your friends, eating a sandwich, making a sandwich, hugging your kids, buckling your kids, brushing your hair, brushing your teeth, flossing your teeth, adjusting your seat, rubbing your feet, reading the paper, using a shaver, applying makeup, applying to college.
A large number of car crashes occur when the driver is doing something other than driving. Drive safe, New Mexico.
Paid for by the New Mexico Department of Transportation and aired in cooperation with the NMBA and the state.
The average American spends 2.5 days a year looking for lost items. We aren't sure how long Europeans and Asians look for lost stuff. We lost the list. Here's Mike Winters.
And good morning. It is 23 minutes after 9 o'clock, and joining us in the studio this morning from Roswell C, John Noble and Crystal Noble. You may hear her most of the time running the show at the Humane Society, but today supporting her husband at Roswell C. Good morning. How y'all doing today?
Good morning. My handler. That's
keeping you out of trouble. That's her job.
She's trying. Not too. Although she tries to keep me out of trouble, but to the listening world that thinks that she's such a sweet and nice person. Okay, I'll tell you right now. 15 minutes. We were in the border of California for 15 minutes on the interstate. 7 lanes of traffic. Everybody's flying, right? 15 minutes. She was trying to pull her gun out and shoot a guy on the highway because he cut us off. I'm like, are you kidding me? We just got here.
Well, the stories I hear about like L.A. traffic and stuff, she may not have been that out of place.
Well, I mean, the guy that cut us off, you could obviously tell.
Right.
I mean, his back bumper's flapping, the front bumper's like bent all around. I mean, he's clipped people before,
sure.
right?
It's like, this is something he doesn't care about.
Right. And I mean, we were like in the 3rd or 4th lane, and he came from far right all the way over and just cut literally right in front of him. I mean, I had to slam on the brakes a little bit, not bad, but enough to let him scoot in.
Yeah.
And this one, man, I mean, immediately she waves hi to him, the New Mexico way.
Yes.
And then he waved hi back, and then she double waved hi, and he double waved hi back, and then slapped on his brakes like a brake check. So I slowed down, and this one, man, she's like pull up there. I'm like, you gotta stop. You really gotta stop.
Welcome to California.
Yeah, we're never gonna make it. It's like, good God, New Mexico rage. I was telling my brother that, and my brother's like, what? And I was like, yeah, she was like, you guys do that where you're from? I was like, dude, we're like the Wild Wild West compared to here, Gravy. It was pretty fun.
Yeah. Well, all right. Well, I've heard her part. What's your favorite part of your vacation? They were in California visiting family and sightseeing for vacation. A couple weeks ago.
I don't know. I mean, I always like going up to my brother's house because it's very tranquil. I mean, it's like when I was trying to explain to her about my family, it's really hard until you meet my family. I mean, my family will give you everything that they have.
Right.
Cousins were, stay the night. Here, you want breakfast.
Sure.
My brother's the same way. You go up to his house. He has a gorgeous house, but it's taken 30 years for him to build it. My sister finally told him, "That's it. Stop."
Right.
You're done. You finish it now.
Right.
Type of a deal. And it's so where my brother lives at is very, very tranquil. He doesn't have like an air conditioner because he has the ocean like 15 miles away.
Doesn't need it.
Yeah, doesn't need it.
Right.
And everything there is just, real green all the time. It's real lush. So I always like going there because it's kind of that, like I was telling her, when we get there, things are going to slow way down.
Yeah.
And she was like, yeah. And then once she got there, realized, okay, it does slow way down.
We're just sitting on the porch because that's what we do right now.
And it's,
watching foxes, raccoons.
Cool. So you had a lot of wildlife
There's
in
a skunk,
his area.
yeah.
And
Never
stuff.
saw the skunk, but
When you smell that one.
Yeah. He just cruised, like my brother would tell you, he's like, he just cruised through a little while ago. He just kind of walks through. He doesn't bother
Doing his
nobody.
rounds or whatever, yeah.
He's like you said, I don't really care.
Fox comes up on the porch, looks through the kitchen door, like, hi.
Yeah.
This is like those videos you see on like TikTok and whatnot of like deer just coming up to people's houses and they feed them on the porch and all that kind of stuff.
Ironically, when we were on our way back, we passed through a town in Arizona called Payson.
Mm-hmm.
And I told him, well, that sign said watch for moose. And he goes, we're in Arizona. I was like, it said watch for moose.
Yeah, I don't think much about moose in Arizona.
And then we got up to a stop sign and he's like, hey, look, to your right. And I looked over, there's 2 huge elk laying in a grass area under trees in a parking lot.
Yeah.
Huge.
Downtown.
Wow.
Just laying there. And then
That's what they do.
Up the road, it said watch for moose again. I was like, see, told you. It said watch for moose.
Yeah, Slope was like, isn't that weird? And it's like, yeah, usually there on Wednesdays.
Yeah. Then we got up the road and it's like watch for wild horses. And I was like, seriously?
Yeah, there's all kinds of wild stuff up there. I've been through Arizona half a dozen times. I never done that. Well, with the route that we took, we had to kind of detour. So the route that we took, you took us through gorgeous area. I mean, it's beautiful up there. You're on pine trees, huge canyons, big mountain areas.
Mountain, pine, Arizona. Nice. You think desert.
Sure.
And wide open, heat.
Sure.
Yeah.
Scorpions.
Because we stayed the night in Tempe, and the next morning was supposed to be like 1:15. I told her, I said, let's get on the road now.
Right.
Let's go. We got to go. I don't want to be stuck here at 115 degrees.
Yeah.
So, it was a lot of fun. Really, really a lot of fun.
And you came back just in time for 115 degrees in Roswell.
Yeah. Luckily, we got back early enough. We got a couple of days to decompress.
You got some mild before it got hot again.
The whole time we were over there, we were up till like 2 to 4 in the morning. Because, my cousins are family, they want to talk. Hey, what's up? Yeah, blah, blah, blah. Tell me everything.
Yeah, you're visiting and doing your thing. Yeah.
Yeah, constant
Nobody
food.
sleeps in California. They say they do, but they don't.
Well, I think if you saw them in their normal grind, they sleep.
Yeah.
There was special circumstances, family in town.
Oh, yeah. No, that was like my brother was saying. He was like, God, I love it. And I was like, why? And he goes like, man, because my sister, she stayed home. My sister-in-law, I call her my sister because she's the closest thing I have to a sister.
Right.
But she stayed home and, she's cooking 3 meals a day. And he's all like, yeah, I love this.
It's like the Beaver's house, man.
Yeah. Because normally she's up really, really early. And then she goes to bed really, really late, too. That woman, she fascinates me. She goes to bed at like 1 or 2 o'clock in the morning. She's up at like 5, 6.
Wow.
And getting everything going.
That's going to catch up with her one day.
I don't know.
One day she's going to sleep for a month.
But then she goes down to her store and, has everything, she does the full work day, type deal. Drags my brother down when a bunch of heavy stuff needs to be moved. Which he loves that. He calls that slave labor and stuff,
Well, that's part of the job when you said I do.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah, it is. And I was telling her, I was like, my sister's store is it's a very unique place. I mean, she has everything from like beads that you can make jewelry with, all the way up to
collectibles, gifts, and
all the way up to like hand carved desks. These
kind of a
gorgeous,
decor slash craft slash California collectibles type thing.
Well, it's not even California collectible because they travel all over the world. I mean,
so it's outside of California.
Oh yeah, they go to Egypt. My brother spends a lot of time in Bali. They go to Russia sometimes.
So a little bit of Middle Eastern and Asian and
kinds of stuff in there,
art and things.
Yeah,
cool. All right.
And so when we made it to the store, she was walking around like, I want that, I want this, 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 and I'm like, yeah, okay,
There's so much room in the vehicle to get back
and
with,
that's
and we
what
have
I
to
told
sit.
her right when we left. I looked at all the stuff she was packing. I said, "You're messing up."
Yeah.
She was all like, "What?" I was like, "We don't need three suitcases. One of the suitcases has 4 wheels on it. That's how big it is." And I told her, I said, "We don't need this much stuff. Well, I want to be prepared for everything." Were we prepared for everything? No, we were not.
Absolutely.
Because the travel place, they screwed up our reservation. We were supposed to stay in Scottsdale, or Flagstaff, Arizona. They screwed up our reservation, so we ended up getting kind of knocked off our schedule. So we had a day to burn, and she was all like, "They're going to comp us the room. Where do we want to go?" And I'm like, And she was naming off all these places, and she said Monterey, and I said, Monterey's very expensive. And she was all like, "They're paying for the room." I was like, "All right, fine. So go to Monterey."
Right.
So we got to Monterey later that evening. It was about 9:30, 10 o'clock. And, I took her to Fisherman's Wharf, and she heard the waves crashing. She was all like, "That's it. We're moving here." And I'm like, "Yeah, you think that. Wait till you see prices. Then we gotta
get some more income to be moving here."
And I was telling her, and so I told her, I said, "They got whale watching here." And she was all like, "Yeah, this isn't the right time. It's got to be, this time, this time, this time." Well, I got on a website and I looked, and it's like, yeah, it's blowing up right now. Everything's going on. I told her. And so I sent her the link, the website. She booked it. She was all like, "All right, we're going whale watching tomorrow." And I was like, "Great. Did you pack anything?" Yeah. She was all like, "I got our coats, my light work coat."
Yeah, I was like, "No, it's gonna be cold out there.
It's gonna be a little bit colder out there." Yeah. So, first place we go to is Cannery Row, and that's a huge shopping area right there. And so, first store, man, she goes in, she's grabbing this. "I want this. I need that. We need this. We gotta have that. We gotta have." And I'm like, whoa. This is one store,
right.
So we were laughing.
We're just gonna look at some whales.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So we were laughing because she was all like, we look like those, Roswell tourists walking around with the Roswell shirts on, or the, foil hats or whatever. So there's sweatshirts on. Of course, they say Monterey across the front of them. And I was like, yeah, we look like tourists. All right, no big deal. But she got to go out and watch the whales. First time she's ever been on the ocean.
That's cool. And who knows if you ever get to do it again. So so it's cool that you got to experience.
Yeah.
Yeah, she's like, it'll happen again.
Oh, it'll happen again.
Oh yeah,
but just in case life doesn't know what's going to happen, you got it under your belt.
Yeah.
It wasn't even on a bucket list. I was like, yeah, bucket list.
Yeah,
we put it in the bucket.
Yeah, it was a nice time. Cool. And then we got to go see Alcatraz and
she was explaining me some of the Alcatraz stuff.
Yeah, those guys were hard. I mean, there's no air conditioning. There's no heating. Yeah. I mean, those guys were the toughest of the tough. I mean, they were the baddest of the bad, but you had to be the toughest of the tough.
And if you weren't hard, you either got hard or did.
Yeah. I mean, and there was one part where she stepped into one of the segregation, the lockdown cells, where the bad boys go.
Sure.
And I was just sitting there. I was like, huh. Will that door close?
Can we just leave her here? That's when the fight started.
It was all downhill from there to the dock.
Right.
So I mean, I think I could have made it pretty quick before she got out, but had to wait on the boat.
Yeah. Someday that would have haunted you.
Yeah, probably. But I
come back. Where's my wallet?
Yeah.
Yeah, didn't plan that all the way through.
Yeah, the escape from Alcatraz.
Yeah.
Once again, no one's done it. Good deal. Well, I guess we should talk about Roswell Sea a little bit. Yeah. How's what's going on? What's kind of the busy time at Roswell Sea right now?
Everything right now is just kind of at a lull. But we're getting a bunch of calls, a bunch of people coming in, watering trees. Okay. Yes, you can overwater a tree in the desert.
Okay.
So
I guess it depends on the tree too.
It does.
Because some don't need water as much, and if you overwater it, then it's doing more harm than good.
Yeah. I mean, right now, June, July, and August, we're so hot. Generally, most people, if it's got circumference tree, if it's a circumference of 20 inches or larger, it's usually already found like a water aquifer.
Okay.
But you still need to kind of boost the water on it. And it's like once every 2 weeks. And people look at me like I'm crazy when I say that, but no, seriously, once every 2 weeks. If they're a little bit smaller, maybe once a week.
Okay.
Not every day.
But a more mature tree doesn't need it.
Yeah, doesn't need it.
They've kind of got their own system
Exactly.
in place.
And I tell people, you look for the telltale signs of overwatering. The leaves on the tree will actually begin to curl, and some of them will turn. So what they're doing is they're trying to get the underside to get hot, so that disperses the water out a lot quicker.
Okay.
So, I probably took care of 4 or 5 people just last week that came in. What's wrong with my tree? What's wrong with my tree? And you're overwatering it. Well, I don't think so. Well, how often you water it? Well, I water it, every other day, about 40 minutes. It's like, the city. I know the city's sending you a birthday card at least. Hey, happy birthday! Thanks for the business.
The water department.
Yeah, and so that's one of the key things that's going on right now. Everybody's in fear of their trees, so they just water the dog snot out of them. You really don't need to. Like we always laugh. If you look, one of our warehouses sits right off of Walnut Avenue, and there's like 5 trees right there. Those have never been watered, and they're growing. They're in a water aquifer.
They find water.
They find water. And when you water over top of that, those roots can come up and go into water, just a little minute bit. It's not like they move 10 or 12 inches. I mean, they're very small movement. But when they're thirsty, they can drop down to that water aquifer. When you dump water over top of them, now they're engulfed in water, basically, is what happens.
Drowning, basically.
Yeah, more or less.
Like waterboarding them or something.
Right, so that's kind of the big thing right now. Try to kind of stay away if you can. I wouldn't fertilize right now, especially with this heat. It's not really all that well for it. Also, we have a couple of people that have been coming in, hey, look at my lawn. I'm watering it every day, doing all this, they're doing all the right things. Why is my grass dying? And when you sit there and tell them, your lawnmower blade needs to be sharpened, they sit there and they stare at you like you're just stupid. And it's true. I mean, it really is. You can kill your lawn with a dull lawnmower blade.
Because it impacts how the grass gets moisture. If it's not a clean cut,
basically, it instead of it cutting it clean, it basically just knocks the top of it off, and it bruises everything. I guess you can say it was a bruise.
Instead of cutting, it's more of a punch rip.
More or less, yeah.
It makes sense.
And people are like, it's dying. Yeah, it's because you're beating it to death.
Sure.
Type of a deal. So that's kind of something else that we've had to deal with.
It's no different than like when you shave. You ever shave with a dull razor versus a sharp razor and see the difference?
I wouldn't know anything about that.
It's no different with your lawnmower too. It's just you don't, maybe not to change as often, but you do have to sharpen your blade. If you owned a lawnmower for 5 years and never sharpened the blade,
it's probably a good idea.
Probably do that.
Yeah, I don't know anything about the razor thing. It's pretty bad when you're shaving and you can just hear it just ripping.
It's like, all right, let's pony up for the new blade.
I only used it once. It's because you got like sequoia hairs.
Let's start another fight. Let me ask you, because you mentioned with the trees and everything, and something I've seen quite often in trees, and I'm wondering if it's an underwater issue or that's a different issue. Sometimes you see trees and then the vegetation is sticking close to the tree, where if you've got some outer branches and stuff, they are basically no vegetation on. They look like a dead tree.
Right.
But then you get closer to the trunk or lower on the tree, and there's all kinds of foliage and leaves. Is that a watering thing, or is that other issues you're looking at?
That's kind of another issue. Sometimes it could be a nutrient issue. Sometimes it's just a weather issue.
Okay.
You figure when it's 100 degrees outside and that wind kicks up to 40 miles an hour.
It's just tougher on the outer limbs of the tree.
Yeah, we call it heat skull, basically, is what it is. And so it's like standing in front of a blow dryer for 14 hours. That's how much sunlight we get in a day. Imagine holding a blow dryer real close to your face for 14 hours.
At some point, you're going to burn some stuff.
Yeah. And so generally, you'll kind of see that happen like on one side of the tree.
So odds are it probably gets more sun if you see that on that side versus the other side.
Well, we normally get winds that come from the west.
Okay.
Some winds that come from the south. Usually the southern winds or western winds are usually kind of little hotter. Rarely do we get kind of wind from, like, some of the places they get wind from the east, which is really, really hot. So yeah, it could be that as well.
It's because it's from DC, all that hot air.
Yeah, that hot air. Yeah. God. And then you get, like, you know, I try to explain to people, you know, if you don't give your trees nutrients, it's kind of like, you know, me punching you in the arm versus somebody that weighs, you know, 100 pounds lighter than me punching you in the arm. You're going to feel my punch a lot harder. And what happens is those leaves just smack against one another and they bruise and they kill one another. But if you give it nutrients and it's a healthy tree, those leaves can take it. They can handle that hitting.
It's
you
got
know, type
stronger
of deal.
base, which means it won't tear or fall apart as easy.
Basically,
Makes sense. Okay.
yeah. So
okay, I was just kind of curious. I was like, maybe that's like it's preserving the water it has, so it's keeping things close to the transportation system, kind of thing. Or
generally, no. I mean, we get, like, you know, people that they ask, okay, my fruit trees they're gorgeous green, they're doing all of this, blah, 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 I'm not getting any fruit, and it's like nutrient problem. And they're like, yeah, but my tree's green. It's like, yeah, nutrient problem. The fruit is the byproduct of a healthy tree. It's just kind of like us, you know. I mean, if you're healthy, you're going to do a little bit more or a lot more. If you're not healthy, you're really not. Same thing with the trees. I mean, if it doesn't have fruit coming off of it, the tree's just staying alive. The fruit is just kind of a, hey, I'm feeling good. I'm
right. Life's good. Everything's healthy. Here's
and I'm pretty
fruit.
sure. I'm pretty sure there's some, you know, scientific name for it. I don't know it because it's probably 72 letters long, and I'm not good at it.
But it needs X valuables to produce the fruit, and if it's missing one of those, it's not going to produce, or doesn't have enough of, then it's not going to produce.
It's not going to produce.
Yeah, so makes sense.
And a lot of times it's simply a lack of iron.
Yeah, if you have globe willow, you know, stuff with that, it's turning yellow.
You feed a fish and liver like you would if your blood's a little low on iron.
we got worse stuff. We got what's called chelated iron. It's pure ground iron.
Okay.
And yeah, you put that around the tree. Globe willows and weeping willows, they require a lot of iron. Our ground does not. Even if you fertilize the tree, there's really not enough iron in the fertilization for those trees. The fertilizer, I should say.
So you really need to supplement.
Yeah, you need to supplement it with some straight iron. Yeah.
So good tip there if you're thinking. And again, this is that come down to Roswell, see.
Yeah.
And really, if you explain what you're looking at, even take pictures.
Oh yeah,
that's probably a great. If you're looking, like if you got a tree or grass, you know, take pictures and bring it, and then you're trying to describe it and going back and forth. It's like, well, it's doing it. You know, John or his staff can look and be like, yeah, that looks like it's not getting enough water, or you know, your blade looks dull. You know, some of that stuff. So.
Yeah, pictures are always the best, and be careful with the pictures. Yeah. I've seen some pictures that's kind of like, wow, that's really a nice tattoo. Yeah.
Right, yeah. Filter your pictures so that you keep the private ones private.
Yeah, one of my guys the other day was just all like, yeah, that's just really not what I wanted to see. You know, this guy brought in his phone and was all like, my buddies, one of the guys was looking at it going, that's man junk. I don't want to see man junk, you know, type of deal.
Fertilize that.
Yeah, fertilize that.
But so keep it classy. But yeah, you know, that's a great, you know, if you got a plant or grass or a tree that's it's something doesn't look right. Maybe they can tell by the color or by the way the leaves are forming or not forming. That could at least put you in the direction of what's going on, and you can try a few things. Maybe it is an iron thing, but you're like, okay, well, it doesn't seem to be flourishing iron. Let's move to the next thing on the checklist.
Right. You know, and of course, naturally, we don't know everything. We've had a couple of weeds this year that has come in that we're just kind of like, well, that's a new one on us, you know, type of a deal.
Well, it's probably like being a doctor, you know, when a patient comes in and they got to, based on the clues, try to figure out the condition.
Yeah.
No different than a tree or a plant. You see a sick plant or a tree, you're like, all right, what variables are causing it to look this way? And then it could be multiple things, and that's, you know, it's no different than treating a patient.
Right.
Sometimes the first round of treatment didn't work as advertised, so let's go a different direction.
I had one poor lady, she was like, God, you ask a lot of questions. I'm like, well, you want me to find out what the problem is, right?
Yeah.
She was just all like, okay, yeah. So and another thing too that we're getting a lot of right now, people coming in, grass seed. Okay, Bermuda is the only thing that's really going to grow right now.
That's it, you're wasting your money.
Yeah, and you know, we got people, they come in, well, I want to do fescue. It's not the right, I mean, I could sell it to you, but
you're just throwing stuff on the ground that's not going to grow.
And I'll be the first one to tell you, you're throwing your money away.
Yeah.
Now, if you're spot patching some small areas, fine.
Sure,
Go
but
for
if
it.
you're reseeding the yard,
if you're going over, wait till September. Just hold out. Wait till September. Hey, I'm married too. I know. How come the grass thing? Because it's just that way. Mother Nature doesn't like me. Sorry,
Sure.
don't know what to tell you. So
it's when it grows.
Yeah. So
because where it originally came from, this is the seasons in which it thrived and things.
Yeah.
That's just how it is.
So Bermuda right now, that's your key stuff when you're going to go.
I'm assuming it's from the Bermuda area, hence the reason. I have no idea where Bermuda grass comes from.
I mean, Bermuda to me, I think is just a weed because it runs, it grows, it just takes off.
I didn't know if it was a grass that was from the Caribbean or something.
I don't know honestly where
thrived in the Caribbean. So
I don't know
have no
honestly
idea.
where Bermuda comes from.
Yeah.
Honestly, I mean, it's just but it works well in our area. Just it doesn't grow in shade, and it's. I always laugh because you get the husband and wife and they come in and, we're going to plant a lawn. And I'm like, okay, and the guy's sitting there talking and I'll turn to the wife and I'm like, what do you want?
Right.
And the guy's sitting there looking at me like, I was like, look, dude, you're going to get in trouble. I'm helping you now.
Right.
Here's some pictures. What kind of grass do you like? Because, even though I'm in charge of the outside of our home,
sure.
There's major influences of like, you want to eat, fat boy?
Sure.
You're going to plant this.
What colors
type
go
of deal.
where? And
It's like, really?
And sometimes we don't care so much about the flowers not matching the.
Bermuda grass comes from Africa.
Okay.
Interesting.
Australia and Europe.
All right.
So,
Where there's a lot of sun.
Yeah, hot areas.
Why they call it Bermuda grass? Why can't we call it African grass or Australian grass?
I don't know.
So I hear Bermuda, I'm thinking, Caribbean and Mai
They
Tais.
want you to feel like it's the
Caribbean.
Caribbeans.
Yeah,
sit
You lay on the grass and just look at the dirt across the street from you.
those steel drums and everything.
Yeah.
That's what I think of when I hear all that.
I want to drink with an umbrella.
That's an umbrella. That's what I'm thinking.
Yeah.
Bermuda grass.
Oh, that could be. Oh, we don't have Bermuda grass. I was like, say, give me a drink tonight with an umbrella. I don't drink.
We have Bermuda grass in the front yard. That's what you plant.
There you go.
Kinda.
Put an umbrella and iced tea and sit there.
Yeah. And I work at the place and I still fall victim to things because I experiment on my yard quite a bit.
Sure.
Quite.
Well, how do you learn unless you
I can't tell
break
you
a few eggs here.
I can't tell you about a product if I haven't tried it or one of the guys haven't tried
Exactly,
it.
sure.
Well, how does this work? I don't know. It's like, no, that doesn't fly.
I was like, I did it and it worked great if I did this, but if you do this, it's not going to help you.
Right,
Yeah.
basically.
Yeah.
And
However, somebody has a temper, and when it doesn't work the way he thinks it should, he gets very angry.
I never.
The entire yard.
I've never heard that either. That sounds foreign to me. I've
Yeah.
never seen that before.
You're just telling Porky Pies right now.
So I actually have that on video.
Oh, evidence.
Evidence?
Uh-oh.
Damn it.
See?
All right.
We throw them on the bus, they're going to hit you back.
Yeah. That was from like 15 years ago. You can't use that in court now.
Oh.
So
Trust me,
All cameras and videos from cell phones are time dated and stamped.
you want to hear my thing to this day I still get doghoused for? Did you ever watch the show Everyone Loves Raymond back in the 90s?
Oh, yeah.
Do you remember the episode? There was an episode where Ray taped over their wedding video with a football game.
Oh, yeah.
And he caught, it happened to me, for real. Like, I accidentally taped a Redskin game over the video that was our wedding video. and 20 years, I still, every once in a while, I get garbage over that one.
Yeah.
Not the fact that, and I did what Ray did in the thing. Would you put the little thing so you can't record over it? That's why if you do that, it won't happen.
Yeah.
But it's still my fault. I mean, it is. I did do it, but I'm thinking if you've got a tape that important, you shouldn't put it where the other blank tapes are. That's all I'm saying.
Right. It goes in that special drawer. With
place of
everywhere
honor
else.
in the dust rack that you bust out every 20 years.
Yeah. I don't have nothing like that, do we?
But
No, it's on Mom's cell phone.
What is?
Our wedding.
well,
Oh, yeah, but I haven't done anything that bad. Have I?
We don't have VHSs and stuff.
No, but I mean on that lines. I haven't done anything that bad, have I? I have not. Have I? Stop. So whatever. God.
Now's not the time to find out. Find out after you get off the radio.
We get downstairs, it's just going to be a ding. Remember on this day? No.
What day did we get married?
On the daytime?
When did we get married?
Fellas, this is what squirming sounds like. Go ahead.
February 27th is when we got married.
No, that is not when we got married.
When did we get married?
February 23rd.
Oh, God.
No.
I was, 4 days off? I had the month right. Give me at least 50 points on that.
How long have you been married?
Yeah, forever.
Forever?
No, 3 years.
Okay.
Feels like forever.
Well, at least you're in the
Sundays.
ballpark. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're going to have to know the date.
I
You're going
thought
to
I
have to
did.
know.
I thought it was 27.
No, it's the 23rd.
Really?
Yes, it's It's always been 223, 21.
Ah, damn.
This is why you need a picture of you from the wedding day in your house with a date on it. So whenever you walk by it, you're like, oh,
we got one. It's in a tote somewhere.
well, you need it in a place of visibility so you can reference it. And so, sure, I know, honey.
Yeah.
Hold on, let me go pee real quick. And then you go and you look, and it's
We've
like...
been in our house for a while
February
now.
23rd.
And yes, there's not hardly anyone, because they're all in totes. We still haven't brought all of our stuff over yet.
Well.
You know, because she's all, okay, we got to have
Go
storage.
dig through the totes and put that picture up somewhere so you can at least keep you out of trouble.
Yeah, I thought I got it on my phone. I know I got it on my phone. I hope I do at least.
Yeah. So anytime you get around February, you're like, all right, I got an anniversary. I don't want to mess that up.
Yeah. Not a big deal.
Mine I won't say lucked out, but my wedding anniversary is August 11th. We got married exactly 1 month to the day before 9/11.
Oh, okay.
So that's how I know 8/11/2001 is the date I got married. So it was 1 month prior to 9/11 to the day.
And her birthday is one day before my oldest daughter's birthday. So that was kind of an easy one to remember.
Okay.
Because I can remember my daughter's birthday. I can't remember, I don't want to remember mine, but I can't remember birthdays. Women could do that. They remember this stuff.
I don't
Guys are
remember
not wired that way.
We have a cheat sheet thing on the wall with everybody's birthdays.
Yeah.
So that's my
Tell
help.
me stats from football players 40 years
I'm
ago.
about to say this
That's
is where we're in
different?
trouble.
No, it's not.
I kind of forgot about them.
Yeah,
but you got
Lyle
Lyle, yeah, but I would go to those games. Those were Raider games. That's why I'm a Raider fan.
You're going to lose this argument,
Yeah,
trust me.
I know.
As a man who's been in your seat.
Okay, tell me some recent stuff about the Cowboys.
I haven't paid attention to
Exactly.
football because I live a life.
Whatever.
Yeah, it's never going to end well for you. Trust me. I've
it's
sat in that
not.
chair for many times.
It was funny because when we went back home, we went and had dinner with one of my old high school friends.
Yeah.
And of course, she's got her tattoo, and so he's a huge Niner fan, and so we go into the garage of Niners and stuff. And she's
You
like,
have Raiders flag up too.
yeah. Oh no, Raiders. Yeah, he's right. So I told her, I said, "Here you go. This is the sanctuary." She's all like, "I can't drink in here," And so he started giving her a bad time and stuff. It's like,
I have it way worse than y'all do. My wife's a Cowboys fan. I'm a Commanders, Redskins fan. That's where I grew up.
That's the biggest rivalry.
Yeah.
I think is
Yeah. See, and so I married a Cowboy fan.
Yeah.
And I'm, and so people always give us, a hard time. It's like, how did you marry a Red? Like we go on to. Like Thanksgiving's fun at our house.
Oh yeah, that's when the big. I remember that as a kid when the big game, that one big game. Yeah, that was huge.
Yeah, trust me, I know that very well. That whole world.
Whoa, what was it? 2 years ago, 3 years ago, when the Raiders played the Cowboys on Thanksgiving? Oh yeah, I was really thankful that the game was early.
I think that's not the night game.
Yeah, well, it was later. Yeah, because we got to eat dinner prior to the game.
Okay.
Ooh, yeah.
Usually Cowboys play the 2:00 game. Usually that middle game.
We did play the 2:15.
Yeah, usually they play that middle game on Thanksgiving.
Thanksgiving at 1.
Yeah, we had
Okay.
So
we do the same thing. We usually like noon or 1 o'clock.
Yeah, so food was done, and then it was really cool because we were sitting together at the beginning of the game, and then by halftime she had moved over, and by the third quarter she was somewhere else just growling at me, and I'm like, yeah, I was like, whatever,
2012 when RG3 beat the Cowboys on. It was that year that the RG3 did great that 1 year, and they played each other on Thanksgiving, and we were all at my in-laws' house, and
You were the outcast.
I was so happy and so ecstatic. Everyone's in a bad mood because the Redskins just whooped them senseless on Thanksgiving. And I was like, what an amazing game. And, of course, RG3 at the time, I was like, this guy's going to be the greatest thing ever.
Yeah.
Little did I know. But
months later.
Yeah. but at that moment, I was at the height of Redskin fandom that I haven't been in years.
So my brother and my sister-in-law are not Raiders fans. They're not Cowboys fans. But they will go with anybody who plays the Cowboys.
Sure.
Yeah.
They're like anti-Cowboys.
They just like to pick.
Yeah.
So my sister, because my sister loves me very much, she's a Jaguars fan, but she's like, all right, me and you Cowboys. So I've got my brother, my sister-in-law, my nephew, and this one rooting for the Raiders. And my sister's like, it's okay. He has to go to bed sometime tonight. I was like, And so I walk in the kitchen, grab a beer. My brother's like, will you bring me one? I'm like, no, you can come and get it yourself. I said it a whole lot more, not nicer.
Sure.
But
so he could tell that this was about
appropriate.
This is about football.
My brother-in-law, he's sitting there, what are you going to tell everyone about this? What are you going to tell? So I was like, you just really want me out of the family, don't you? And I kept my mouth shut for the most part. I didn't rub it in or nothing. I didn't glow. Yeah, I didn't. Yeah, the day after when I was on my home turf and I knew where I could run to. Yeah, and I had numbers that I could call in case of emergency. Yeah, then it was. Yeah, the gloating was on. Came out with the jersey and
I mean, it was safe to come out.
It was safe for it to come. Yeah.
I just love the times. We need to wrap this up here. Is there anything we definitely want to mention before we get down?
Just watch your waterings.
Yes.
On things.
Fair kids, rabbit feed.
Oh yeah.
Yes.
With the
couple weeks away, you got Chaves County Fair here, a week or two, and Eddy County Fair is I think the same week here towards the end of July. Yeah. And then, of course, Eastern here in a couple months. But
we do carry rabbit food. We do carry chicken feed.
Okay.
Various kinds. So if you kind of need that, as far as like horse and cattle feed and stuff, no, we do not.
You want to go to one of your vet supply places or something,
and get that stuff. But
small animal feed and things like that, you got it right there. Roswell Seed.
Wild bird. We have a bunch of people coming in right now for the wild bird feed that we mix up. We mix it up literally right there in front of you. It's kind of like Like, we're not baristas or anything.
Right.
But, we'll mix it up.
Make a bowl of cereal for you.
Yeah, it's ancient Chinese secret.
Calgon, take me away.
Yeah, basically. Yeah, some days you want that. Like, oh, my
God. But they do have chicken feeders, chicken waterers. They do have some chicken supplies there.
Okay.
They don't have rabbit hutches.
Okay.
However, they do have rabbit
So if you're like a
feed.
recreational chicken owner, you got a couple chickens for eggs or stuff, or if you're doing fair stuff,
right?
Then Roswell Seed can help you out with all that.
And honey, I don't have any honey in yet. I already had somebody come in this morning.
It's too hot. The bees are not working. When the bees cool off, they will make honey.
I had some of the honey that you gave me yesterday. I wanted a snack, so I had some chicken nuggets that were like dino nuggets that were from when the kids were supposed to be there that never got eaten. So I just threw them in the toaster oven to eat, and of course I dipped them in that honey, the mesquite honey you gave me.
Oh, that mesquite habanero or whatever it is.
Good.
Yeah,
it's good with the chicken, by the way. It was a 10 with that chicken.
So
I need to bring him some barbecue sauce now.
Yeah, let's just start something else. Go.
Hey, okay, before we got married, when I would barbecue, he would always get food.
Oh, well, see, I'm sorry.
That's true. I'm a leech. I take all kind of food.
Hey, before we got married, I used to get food all the time too. So now I can't because you can't eat that, you can't have that, you can't do that. I'm going out my way, So, but yes, I will have honey here. I got a couple of hives that are ready. It's just getting out there to get to them.
Mm-hmm.
It's extremely hot. You open up those hives and
they're angry.
Because they're all females. So I mean, you got to take basic. And I don't mean that in a mean way. They really, literally, all 93% of a beehive is all females.
Okay.
So. When people are, you're just a sexist. No, I'm not a sexist. That's just nature. Sorry. Women bees work a hell of a lot harder than men bees. That's all there is to it.
But
so I will have some of that.
With it being so hot, the bees are not out flying.
Sure, they're more docile and more
hanging in,
hunkering in, kind of like you are at your house.
Oh, yeah.
Stay out of the heat.
The difference between us and them is we can go outside in the nighttime when it's cool. They can't fly in the nighttime, and they can't go pollinate in the nighttime because they cannot fly because the sun is not out.
They need that to navigate.
So bees need the sun to fly. But when it's 110, 105, they're not out flying because it's too hot.
So 6, 7 in the mornings, they're sweet time.
Yeah,
really,
more or less. Evening times, they'll come out of the hive and they'll just sit on the outside of the hive. And it's kind of a freaky thing. If you don't know what you're looking for, and you, like a lot of people will be like, oh my gosh, I went outside.
That's basically them sitting on the back porch.
They're cooling off.
Right, cool off.
With their lemonade cooling off.
Yeah, more or less. Yeah.
Once the temperatures start cresting, under 100 degrees, hopefully they'll start being more active. But right now, it's just too hot for them.
Makes sense. Anyway, if you have any questions about anything, call Roswell Seed or come by Roswell Seed. And if you've got questions about your trees, your grass, if you want to know when it's time to plant something. But like you said, if you're trying to plant grass right now, unless it's Bermuda, it's a wasted effort.
It's a waste of time, yeah.
But
don't want you to waste your money.
Come to Roswell Seed if you have questions about that. If you're trying to plant a certain grass and you're like, I don't know when it is, talk to their folks, and anybody be happy to kind of put you on the schedule on when to do what, when, and where, and how.
How. That's the biggest thing.
Good
deal.
Because
we screwed it up before, so don't worry about it.
I was saying, you guys have messed up enough times, so now you got your system and you figured it out. trial and error.
Oh, yeah.
When you haven't been doing it for 100 years,
lots of trial, lots of error.
Yeah, and
No big deal.
now it's all flushed out and works perfectly.
Yeah.
It's a well-oiled machine.
I have many years of I just call that So like, what happened? You don't want to know.
Yeah. Learning lesson.
Yep.
Moving on. Well, thank you guys. We'll see you next
Thank you
time.
guys. Bye now.
All right, it's 10 o'clock. You're listening to 106.5 Roswell's Talk FM, KEND, Roswell, New Mexico.